Hello and welcome to episode 81 of Gamers of the Lost Part podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Chesson, and joining us after a day with his face bent pressed up against a window looking for the postman, it's Mr. Darren Flatface Whittam. Hello sir, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm not too bad. So have you been looking for a postman today?
My bruised nose. Yeah, waiting by the letterbox all day for Horizon Zero Dawn that did not appear.
Oh my goodness. That was heartbreaking this morning because I was obviously, kind of 9 o'clock after I kind of pushed Nicola out the door. I was like, go to work. I started playing it and then I was kind of messaging you going, oh my God, this is gorgeous. We'll get to my take on it a bit later.
Yeah. I mean, I've got it in the show notes here. What Darren's been playing this week, Horizon Zero Dawn. I shouldn't have written it in advance. I shouldn't have been so confident, so blasé in the postal service. It's really bad because at the start of the day, because my post's usually quite late, Do you remember the days when the post turned up at like 7:30?
Oh, absolutely. And you used to, it shows our age, but you used to have two posts.
Second post.
If it didn't come in the first one, it would come in the second post.
There was always a chance for second post. Saying back then I never got anything. I was little and going to school, but the post would come before I went to school. And then there was always second post. But yeah, so my post gets here. Who knows? I couldn't put a time on it. Somewhere between 10 and 2, my post will probably turn up. But round about an average would be, say, 12, half 12, 1. Half 1. So I just thought, in the morning, I was like, well, I've got stuff to do, preparing for this fine podcast and other things. And I was doing that, and I was like, cool. And then I did everything. And I was like... And I was like, as I was working through my tasks and time was getting on, I was getting more and more, the postman's not been. Never mind, it's not 1 o'clock yet. When he got to 1 o'clock, I was like, well, let's give it another half an hour. And then when he got to like 2, I was like, oh, great. But I was still hoping, because the thing is, it's annoying when you don't get any other post, because I didn't know if he'd been or not.
Yes.
It's really bad. So I was kind of like, shall I go and ask the neighbours? And earlier in the morning, a knock came at the door with a guy that had tried to deliver a parcel over the road, right? And I was busy and I was going to ignore it because I thought I can't be bothered with that. And then I thought, you know what? That's bad karma because I'm expecting Horizon Zero Dawn today. I will get this parcel and keep it for the neighbour. And then, it'll sort of magically, the forces will enable Horizon Zero Dawn to turn up. So I did that. Still didn't turn up. So when it got to sort of, I think, 2-ish, I was kind of like, well, it's too late to buy it. It's too late to do anything because I've got to go and get Sam from school. Mm-hmm. That's it. I was like, no. And the only thing was that at least I've been quite busy, but still, as the day went on, my heart just sort of dropped. My morale dropped lower and lower. And then, knowing you had been playing it from probably 5 a.m, I was just like, mate, I wish I was doing it too. So, no, I haven't got it. I can't believe it. It'll teach me. Maybe it'll teach me for banking on Boomerang, but they dispatched it. I think it's a postal thing. They sent it yesterday. I got an email that Boomerang has sent it yesterday morning. It's the first time I've waited for a big game through them. Mm-hmm. And, they said they sent it yesterday morning on an email, so I thought it'd definitely come today. If I get it, usually you get it the day after the email, don't you, wherever you order from.
Absolutely. I mean, they've been tweeting like a good one of people going, yay, Horizon Zero Dawn has arrived, here's my disc, all of that sort of. So
I didn't look.
It's
just bad luck.
Yeah.
Bad luck for me. I really hope it's not lost in the post. If it doesn't come tomorrow, I'll be severely gutted, and then it might be a little march down the shops. But I'm sure
the same thing happened to me, didn't it, with Resident Evil 7? That I got it from Boomerang, and then it never turned up, so I went off and bought it.
How long did it take to turn up?
It arrived the next day.
If I hadn't been busy this morning, but that's the difficulty with the post. I don't know when the post's coming. So it's a bit difficult. It's a difficult one to call. So I'm a bit sad. It's not like me to miss a release like this, and it's not good.
No, absolutely not. I was kind of, we'll talk about it in a bit, but I can't wait to get back to it tonight. I'm like, and that's it from all we've got time on the podcast.
Yeah, PSA, it'll be a short pod tonight, because Anthony, I think I suggested it, didn't I? I was like, before I knew I didn't have it, I was expecting to get it. I was like, Anthony, we're going to have to be quick on Wednesday night, because we're going to go, hopefully, we're both going to want to go back and play. So it's great to hear just that bit. I know we'll hear more, but it's great to hear that you think that, because that's what I was hoping that we'd feel like.
Oh, absolutely. But we'll get to that bit in a moment. How's your week been?
It's been all right. My week, what I've been doing, I spent a part of it reeling from us getting the top slot on m4g.com with our podcast last week, with our title and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that was really good. So we made the top of the page, not just the top of the page, but we made the number one story on m4g.com. And for readers that don't know what that is, m4g.com is a news aggregation site. And you can post your news there, or fans of what sites can post news from sites or rumours or opinions, whatever, and podcasts to that site. And the people may comment on it or like it and stuff, and it'll elevate its status and stuff. And depending on how interested and how much reaction an article gets, it gets more heat, and then it gets to the top of the page. And we're a bit hit and miss, Sometimes we barely get noticed, sometimes we're medium, and occasionally we've struck gold. Not often, but never have we made the top story, which we did last week, which I thought was amazing. That it felt like a wild ride on like Friday. I think Saturday.
I think it was was it Friday morning? I was on my way into London, and you just kind of sent me a screenshot, and I couldn't believe, that was A, that it got approved because it has an approval process on M4G, and B, that there was something I think it was about 200 comments, and I think it kind of continued to rise over to about 280 comments over the weekend as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was like, wow, this is amazing. So that was really cool. Put a big smile on my face, and I know yours as well. That was good. Zelda previews came out. Got me very tempted for a Switch, I must say, as I discussed with you. The previews for Breath of the Wild. I was reading one in particular for a guy that I trust, and I've read him for years. I used to read him on, back in the teletext days. I was a fan of where this guy came from. And it's David Jenkins, I think his name is. And he was gushing about Zelda so much. He was gushing about it so much. I think it was when he got to the phrase, because when you get to trust someone when you've read them for a long time. When he got to the phrase that he said, Horizon Zero Dawn's mechanics kind of look primitive in comparison to the variety of the toolbox within Breath of the Wild.
Wow.
And I was just kind of wow. I was like, what an accolade. And then I started getting that feeling. I was getting the hypey feeling, the goosebumps and stuff. And I was like, oh man, I really want to Switch now. So I've been playing with that. Is it worth the admission price for the one game, is the way I'm trying to think about it at the moment. I think I might wait still. But crikey, I'm sort of close. And all the hardware previews have dropped today. So I've been reading through those, and some of it, that's been up and down. That's been a little bit more up and down. It's been getting sort of great reviews from some places and average reviews from others. So that's tempered me a little bit, brought me a little bit back to earth. It's all about the games. I mean, I feel that you need two games, really. Two good games. But then is Zelda worth two good games because it's one amazing game? I don't know. So anyway, I was thinking about that. I've been thinking about that during the week. I'm resisting at the moment. I still think I'll probably resist. Yeah, so we'll
You'll get to that point on Friday afternoon or Saturday morning when you're like, I need this, I've got to have this right now, and you won't be able to get hold of a copy of Zelda anywhere. You'll be able to maybe pick up a Switch, but you won't be able to get hold of a copy of Zelda anywhere. I think for me, the two games are out. If you say you need two games, I think the two kind of really good games that I'm looking forward to is Zelda, and it's pretty much going to be the only game I'm going to be playing. But there's also Fast RMX as well, which is what I think you've spoken about before on the Wii U, and that's kind of a launch title as well, and that's one of the Nindies, the Nintendo indie titles.
Nindies.
Yeah, I love that. They did a showcase this week about just their Nindies, and that was quite interesting. So for me, I've got those two games. I've already they're the two that I'm kind of interested in. So
yeah, that's a good combination because you've got an adventure game and a racing game. I love that. And
also, I know you didn't get yours today, but Boomerang have actually got a couple of Nintendo Switch games as well. So they have Breath of the Wild on Wii U and on Switch. And they also have 1-2 Switch and Bomberman as well. So I've added 1-2 Switch to my Boomerang order.
Cool. That's a really good thing to do because that's a perfect game for a rental, I would say.
It really is. That's the game that I'm going to probably be playing over the weekend because I'm all hyped about my new console, and then kind of quickly forgotten that it's on my it's downloaded. So I cancelled my pre-order for 1-2 Switch and from Amazon, and I kind of just added it to my Boomerang list. So I don't know if they're shipping them yet or if they've got that distribution deal with everyone where they send them out the day before. But I'm in no hurry because I've already got those other two.
Yeah. What else did I do? I ran Game Up. Remember we were discussing the midnight launch or lack of it at your place, at your game?
Yes.
So I spent some time and I ran Game. Well, no, first of all, I did an online chat with Game. It took me about 3/4 of an hour to get an answer to what I thought was an easy question, which is, are you open for midnight launches? I hate online chat when it must be, that they're talking to about 50 people at once. So when you finally get acknowledged, and then it's like, hello, my name's whatever. What's up? And it's like, yeah, hello. I was really polite. Hello, that thingy. Yeah, my name's Darren. I'm just wondering, are you doing midnight launches for the Switch? And then just silence for like 10 minutes. And then it's kind of like you get something like, can I just be sure that you're saying, are the game shops open for a midnight launch? And you're like,
our hours of opening are 9 a.m. till 5 p.m.
And you say yes in response to that. I just want to know this. And then you wait for another 10 minutes. It's like, oh, for goodness sake. So anyway, the guy said, he said they are doing midnight launches, and he said it's only for pre-orders though. That's the only way you can get one.
Yes.
And I said, okay, well, is my shop open? Because my friend's, who's lives in Tunbridge Wells, his shop says they're not doing a midnight launch, so I wanted to check. To which they replied, I waited for ages then. And when they came back, they said, oh, do you want the shop number? And ask them yourself. I was like, yeah. And they gave me the shop number. I didn't know they ever gave out the shop number.
No, because it's normally just an automated service, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can't get hold of your local shop's number. Or do you have your local shop's phone number?
I do. I have it in my iPhone, but in a story I'll get to in a minute, I'll be deleting it soon.
So anyway, I didn't know you could get hold of that. So I rang them up anyway, and I said, are you doing midnight launches for the Switch? And he said, yeah, we are. And I said, have you got any in stock? He said, no, we haven't. And I went, okay, what a shame, because that sort of made me want one a bit more because I couldn't have one.
I bet.
I said, just out of curiosity, are all your shops doing this or not? And he said, yeah. He goes, all the shops are doing a midnight launch for it. So that's what my local shop said. So it sounds like it might just be what we were talking about, because your local shop is in like a mall or something like that.
Mm-hmm. They just said, I mean, I spoke to them again today, and they just said it's too expensive, and I to which I replied, yes, but customer service, the customer service is worth much more than that. So yes, because I mean, one of the things I wanted to get to before we got to kind of a bit of a thing that I had today in game regarding my Switch was also this week we had our Forza Car Club meetup, which was, big thank you to everyone who kind of pulled up and revved up and had a race. We gave away some codes from Playground Games that gave us to Blizzard Mountain, and it was a great laugh, wasn't it? It was
it was a top night.
It's about 3.5 hours. I think we were there for about 3 hours. Must have been about 3 hours, mustn't it?
Yeah, at least. I mean, when did we start?
10:30, 11:30. No, I think it was even longer than that, because we started at 8:30, and then we were still racing after midnight. So
yeah, it was definitely 4 hours, I reckon.
It was a really good laugh. So again, thanks for everyone, and thank you very much, Playground, for giving us our code.
Yeah,
so that was really cool. It was quite cool. It was quite nice. It was nice to give out those codes, and people were very appreciative.
Some more than others.
Yeah, apart from that one guy who got a code and then left.
Do you want a code? Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and that was it.
and that was it. And then he left. It really made me chuckle.
That was funny.
He's like, right, I've got to go now.
I was laughing all night, man. It was hilarious.
It was really funny. It was some good beers, some good banter, and some very good car racing. So that was the Forza Horizon Car Club meetup. Now, I never normally use this forum. I never normally use the pod for a bit of a rant, but oh my god, am I going to rant today? I went to game today, so let's kind of like track the kind of the journey.
Oh, excellent. I'm getting comfy here. Let me just get comfy.
So a couple of weeks ago, I mean ages ago, before the Switch was even ready for pre-order, Game Tunbridge Wells did a thing where you could pre-order your Switch. So knowing how I know Nintendo, after struggling to get a Nintendo Mini, a NES Mini for my nephews for Christmas, I pre-ordered. So I gave them £50 and I pre-ordered. When I pre-ordered, they said, later on you'll be able to pre-order your games, you'll be able to do all the accessories, but right now we can just do it on that. I was like, absolutely excellent. Don't worry, that's fantastic. Gave them my money, they gave me a receipt, and I kind of came away. A couple of weeks ago, I had a call from someone, Nick, I believe his name was, and he said, right, just confirming that you're still all okay for your pre-order, and what time will you be coming in? This was obviously after I realised that they weren't opening for a midnight launch because they were penny pinching. So I said, you're not really ashamed that you're not doing a midnight launch. What time are you opening? And they said 8 o'clock. I was like, right, I'll be there for 8. I said, also, could I reserve a copy of Zelda and also a case as well? And he said, can't do that over the phone. Why don't you pop into the store? You'll be able to do that then. I said, okay, no problems. Thank you very much. Popped into the store the next day after that telephone call and said, I was talking to Nick yesterday. I'd like to order a case and Zelda. They went, can't do that right now. Actually, what they did was they blipped the code for the case and it came up as a steering wheel. And so they blipped the code, I gave them £5, and then when I looked at my receipt, it said steering wheel.
Oh,
and I was
like, goodness you looked.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I don't need a steering wheel. I want the case. They were like, oh, it's the same code. There was this really lackluster teen in there.
They wink at each other. They're like, we've been trying to get rid of that wheel for ages. Nearly did it then. We nearly got the sucker.
He couldn't give a hoot. And that's the word I'll use because I'll swear otherwise. He couldn't give a hoot, and he was leaning on the counter, and he was like, oh, well, let me just write on it that you want a case. I went, yeah, but that doesn't guarantee me one of your cases.
You could have written that. You go in a game, you order like, I don't know, you buy put a pre-order on something that's like, I don't know, just whatever, and then you get home and in Biro you write, actually, one case, one Switch case, and then you go in
console.
Yeah, you go one Switch console in the case, and like a load of games. You go, look, it's written on the receipt.
So this was a very weird time that I actually had money in my wallet, because normally I don't carry cash, I just use cards. I'm an advocate for cards and use my watch and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
but I had £5, gave him £5, it was in my wallet, so I gave him £5. And then when I realised, because there was lots of bits of paper, and I just wondered if maybe they'd given me too much. And I looked at it and it said steering wheel. And I was like, I didn't want a steering wheel, I want a case. And he went, oh yeah, I guess because Mario's not coming out till 2018, is it? Like that. And I was like, actually, it's coming out the 28th of March, and you should know that. And he was like, well, it's not very good anyway, it's just a Wii U port. And I was like, okay, right. And I said, well, can I have a refund? And because he was like, oh, it's the same code, so I can't reserve this for you. I said, okay, no problems, can I have a refund? He just looked at me and I went, no, we don't do refunds on pre-orders. And I went, I have just given you £5. I've just given you £5. It's in that till. You've made a mistake. Give it to me back, please. Like this. And he was like, honestly, he just couldn't care less. And then he got the manager, and the manager came over and said, well, what's the problem? And I went, told him what the story was, because the guy went, oh, the same code. He was just, and he went, sorry. And he just looked me square in the face and went, we can't give cash refunds on a pre-order. And I was like, oh, hell no. That was just so anyway, I kind of kicked up enough fuss, and they gave me back my £5.
I can't believe that, by the way. I didn't know that they have a policy.
Basically, there. I did not trust either of those two guys to do whatever. I said, look, you can add it to my game card if you want, my game wallet, because I'll use that when I buy the Switch. So I said, anyway, can I pre-order Zelda? No, you can't pre-order Zelda. You can do it though after Friday. You can come in, pay for your Switch, and pay for Zelda at the same time. Perfect. I said, because obviously looking at the lineup, there's no other game that anyone would want. And then I kind of walked back in today, I'm going to get my Switch, a little song in my head, I'm like,
spring in your step.
Absolutely, spring in my step, and Nintendo on my heart. I'm like, here we go, this is going to be exciting. I said, can I pay for my Switch and pre-order Zelda? No. And I was like, why not? And they were like, well, you can pay for your Switch. I was like, okay. I said, but can I pre-order Zelda? Because the guy last week, and I pointed to the lackluster guy, I said, and also Jack told me I could do this right now. No, we've already used up our pre-allocation. We can't do that.
Where was but you had a pre-allocation, didn't you?
Well, exactly. So it's just like, I was like, okay, fine. And then this guy said to me, he kind of chimed in. He went, I can sell you an E-code. And I was like, so I said, I do not expect the Nintendo eShop to be up and running at 9 a.m. on the launch day of the Switch. Sad, but probably true fact, I think. I said, so, and especially to download a 13.5 gig download. I said, look, you guys have just messed me around enough. I would like to cancel my Switch.
Good
Can't
man.
do that.
What?
Can't do that. Can't do that. Cannot cancel money taken for a pre-order.
This is really difficult not to. This is
honestly,
to keep cool.
honestly. Today, honestly, I was so furious today.
I'm seething for you, mate. Here,
and I said, you know what? I said, don't worry about it. I said, they'd already taken the money for my Switch. I said, right. I said, fine, I've got my receipt. I said, this is the last time that I come to game because I'm done with you guys. I said, because you don't care. I mean, you should be allocating one copy of Zelda for every single Switch that is pre-ordered. And if not, there should be copies that should be on the shelf. And they were like, well, we just did pre-orders only. And I was like, yes, but I've been told all the way along that I could pre-order now, and now you're telling me I can't pre-order and pay for it. I was like, it just doesn't make sense. You're not talking to each other. Nobody knows what's going on. And so I said, are you sure I can't cancel my... No, can't cancel it. And another guy chimed in. And I said to this guy, I said, if I buy that Zelda code from you... I said, and I go home, I'm going to pick this up at 8 o'clock. I said, and if I go home and I cannot download Zelda before lunchtime, if it's still chugging away on the eStore, I'll be lucky if I'm signed in at this point. But I said, if I eStore, I said, if I manage to get Zelda downloaded, because I'd prefer it digital anyway, I said, if I would come in and I would give you £100 to your charity, to your game streaming charity, the one that happened at the weekend. Uh-huh. I said, I would give £100 to that. And he went, well, he goes, I'll just put that in my pocket. Like that. And I was like... And exactly, I was like, you don't understand. I said, but if it doesn't, I said, then I'd expect a full refund. Well, we can't do that because you've already used the code. I was like, I said, do you understand exactly what you're doing to a customer who is excited about this? I said, you have no thought about this. What annoys me the most is that this is a Nintendo release. Yeah. They should be excited about it. This is a console release, a Nintendo console release, and games should be excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then after all of this, yeah, the guy on the till looked at me and went, oh, sorry, I forgot to ask, do you want to buy insurance with that? To what point I wanted to rip his nipples off, honestly. I was like, I do not want your insurance. I said, I will not be coming back in this store ever again. So I went home. I was just so mad. I was so mad that I needed to get it out just to tell Game Tunbridge Wells I am never coming back. So I put it on Twitter. Very unprofessional of me, but I was mad. And then I got a DM later from Game. I got a DM later from Game apologising for the very bad customer service and a very bad experience, and said that he will talk to the team, and has guaranteed me a copy of Zelda on Friday, waiting for me at Game.
Oh, well, all's well that ends well then, eh?
Which is quite lucky because I went on Amazon. I was like, I don't care. I'll get Amazon. My post comes about 11 o'clock. I'll just get Amazon. And Amazon have actually sold out of Zelda.
Man.
So this is Nintendo doing its Nintendo thing again, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
But no wonder, we've had stories upon stories about Game not doing very well, about Game kind of going downhill, and I'm not surprised because they have completely lost a customer today. And when I pick up my Switch, someone on Twitter actually said to me, why don't you, because you can't get a refund on your pre-order, why don't you actually get the console, pick it up, and then ask for a refund on the console, because it's no longer a pre-order at that point, which I thought was actually genius. So I might just do that on Friday, because I don't want to give them my money. I really don't want to give them my money.
No, I know you feel, this is miles worse than my Pip-Boy edition of Fallout. This, and I ranted about that for ages. It's just terrible. It's like, I almost wonder, is the experience you had a product of game doing badly? Are the staff a product of game doing badly? Or is game doing badly a product of the staff? I'm not sure which way it went, because I think once it was okay, in like 2000, 2001. I remember going in game and it was all right.
I used to love EB. I used to absolutely love EB. Yeah. I'd go down to EB and you could talk to people. I'd go to EB in Blue Water and just have a chat to someone about games.
Yeah, it's like the wrong side won, didn't they, that little battle? Yeah, but I can't believe that they have this policy that no refund on a pre-order.
Yeah, it said they can't refund on a pre-order, and it was only because I only got that £5 back because it was 5:30 and they wanted to shut up.
Yeah, they wanted to.
They wanted to shut up shop. So and I wasn't going anywhere. But today
is that a common thing? Because I'm sure that I've had consoles on pre-order on websites and things in the past. Found a better deal on another site, cancelled my pre-order and gone somewhere else.
It's because I gave them money. It wasn't, in Amazon, I could have pre-ordered the Switch.
You don't pay anything until shipment, do you, when you do it online?
Exactly. So up until probably tonight, I would have been able to cancel it. At some point, when Amazon says processing, you can't cancel that pre-order.
Yeah, I understand. And that's fine. You can't really argue with that. It's kind of fair enough, isn't it?
No. But they were saying, because I've already given them like £55, they can't refund that. They can't refund that pre-order.
It just seems ridiculous that they can't just go through the till and say, yeah, refunded. And it just, takes 55 quid out or whatever it was. But at least that guy on Twitter, that's a really good idea. I hadn't thought of it, where you can take it and then just say, right, have it back, I want a refund. And presumably they'd refund it then. But it's just the waste of time thing, isn't it? It's how much you're willing to stand up for what you believe in there, because you'll have the Switch, you can just go home, try and forget about them, and ruining your experience of a new console. This is the thing, it's supposed to be fun. It's a shop that's centred around fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
It shouldn't make things hard. It shouldn't make things. It shouldn't take the edge off something that's supposed to be a nice experience. You're paying a very premium price for a console here. You're willing to do it. You're on board. You're on board with games. You're on board with buying from the high street.
Yeah. This is the highlight. This is one of the highlights of their calendar year. This is a time when they're going to make a profit. They should all be dressed in Mario outfits right now, and they should be enjoying it and having fun with it. Instead, you just had 4 people who just did not give a monkeys. And they really did not care. And that was it, And this guy was like, there's nothing we can do. And even someone who I think may have been like a deputy manager, it's just had no idea of customer service.
It's a terrible thing when people in a shop that a lot of people would kill to have a role in a game shop. I bet it's a lot of kids' dreams to get a job there. And they're so blasé. Of what they're doing. It's like the best shop to work in if you're a fan of games, isn't it? All the things you could do. I mean, shoe shop, McDonald's, all the rest of it. And, a chosen 4 or 5 or whatever it is get to be the staff in game. And it's just surprising that they can't seem to sift the passionate ones out. Surely they're inundated with requests in every local community of young people who are fans of video games that want to join that workforce, and sort of earn some money while being immersed in their hobby. Yeah, it seems that they're not all bad. I've been in some games where the staff have seemed okay as well, but I've been in a lot of games that echo what you're saying here, where they're just negative, blasé, don't care, clueless. I don't think it is that they're clueless. It's just they can't be bothered attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. I had the same thing when I gave my Xbox One, when I kind of traded my Xbox One Day One edition when I got the S. When I traded that in, they spent about 25 minutes just trying to find a Wi-Fi password because they wanted to test to make sure it was okay. But they just was all like, "Oh, where's the Wi-Fi? I don't know." It was all just like that. And even the guy today,
stroppy teenagers.
Exactly. He was just thumbing through some piece of paper because he'd never done this Switch thing before. And I was like, where's your training before the store opens? You're like, right, we're going to have people coming in this week and they're going to be buying the Switch. This is something we've put out. We've told them, we've rang them. You need to do this, and this. And they are more concerned with part exchanging and buying mobile phones than they are the game side of it. And once I pick up this console, whether I have the power to, whether I have the kind of enough oomph to say, here you go, stuff it, or not, when I walk out of game, I will be deleting the app from my phone, which includes my wallet. I will be throwing away my game card, and I will not be returning to game after Friday.
Wow. You need to spend your points.
I couldn't give a monkeys about my points.
No, mate. How many have you got?
I've got £2.65.
Oh, right. Throw it away, then.
So, yeah, absolutely. I just could not care. Monkeys.
The thing is, as well, about saying I can sell you an e-code for Zelda, and you said, you'd prefer it digitally. I would counsel that is not the best idea because you've only got that 32 gig, and you're going to get another memory card anyway, I imagine, of like a gig.
I've already bought one. I've already got a 256 ready.
You got a 256 ready. But
so after last week, you gave me a really good deal, so I went ahead and bought it.
Oh, so. Demon! I should write to him and mention it. But the thing is, I would say you should save that space for games that are only download-only games, digital-only games. You don't want to go clogging it up with games that you can easily switch. Buying the cartridge format. Because that.
Oh no! I mean, I would like that 256. I would like that to be filled with games that I want to play. I want to be able to sit on a plane, train, whatever, and be able to switch out any game that I want. So I would prefer to have it digitally. And that's what I said to him there. I thought I'd kick him while I was there. I said I prefer digital. I said, but. And the only reason why I didn't go, thank you very much, I will take that, is because I don't trust a 13.5 gig download on day one of a Nintendo release.
No. And that's not their fault, that is bad. It's bad that that expectation's there, isn't it, really? That's a shame. That's not game
I want to be playing Zelda, but I want to be playing Zelda before 8 o'clock that night. I don't want to be watching. So, like I say, I'll be lucky, and I will, and I will tweet out if I am, but I'll be lucky if I'm signed on before lunchtime. I bet you, because there's a day one patch for all of the network connectivity for the Switch.
Yeah, I believe so, because the shop isn't even online until you've got the day one patch.
No, exactly.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing, this, right? And I think it's a classic example. Tell me if you think this is wrong or right. But it sounds to me like a classic example. If the procedures are set in stone, they're beyond the staff's level, right? But it's all about the way they dealt with you.
Yes.
Even though say the news didn't change, you couldn't have Zelda, and you couldn't have a refund on the pre-order. Okay, say they really can't do anything about that. But the way they deal with you could have made the difference between even like this devastating load of just complete shower of an experience.
Well, exactly.
Or they could have made it that you walked away thinking, they can't help it, and they really tried their best for me, and they, by explaining, stuff like that, saying, "Oh, what's your name, Anthony? Anthony, really sorry. The reason is this. What's happened is this. Did it? But what we'll do, we'll really try this for you. You know what I mean? But it sounds like all you got was a shrug, a grunt, and just kind of a brush off. And it's not good enough.
And I got different messages. I got 3 different messages. So I got someone saying, "Yep, come and do this." When you went and did that, someone said, "No, do something else." And then when I got to that something else, they couldn't help me. So it was just like, I'm absolutely. I mean, and why Game as an organisation hasn't ordered a shed load of Zelda, because for every single Switch, that is a 1-to-1 game, surely. No one's buying a Switch to just play 1-2 Switch or Bomberman. No one's doing that. They should have Zelda Breath of the Wild should be filling up that Nintendo stock space. And if they have a few games left over after the weekend, that shouldn't matter. And one of the things that I'm finding, and I was having a chat with my sister today, who is a big marketeer, a very kind of switched on to the whole retail industry, and she was saying the problem is that customer service is killing the retail industry, the high street retail industry, because of more and more shops like this, and because they're so concerned with their margins that they order minimal stock instead of like back in the day where they would have boxes and boxes of it. So we've went from, especially with games, we've gone from the fact of there used to be maybe 4 copies of Zelda Ocarina of Time in W.H. Smith's to at one point there was just loads and loads, and they ended up giving them away at very cheap. And then now they've gone back to that original model where they're just being very lean with their stock because they're worried about that margin.
Yeah, I mean, that's a sign of the times, and it could be an allocation thing from Nintendo, though Game have probably got the lion's share of the allocation from a high street store perspective, I would imagine. So, yeah, but you're absolutely right. Zelda and the Switch go hand in hand. Why are you buying the Switch?
If you're the head purchaser for Game, you should be going, how much has Nintendo given me stock? Okay, they're giving me 200,000 Switches. Okay, I want 200,000 copies of Zelda Breath of the Wild. That it should be a 1-to-1.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, end of rant. I'm never going back to Game after Friday. But I really want to. I really I've got the day off. We've got some holiday that we have to use at work, and we have to use it by the end of April. And I've got a very busy March, and I really want to. And so I thought, I'll see these. I've got a couple of days, so I'll take a couple of days off. So I've got a day off for it, and I really want to and I'm hyped for it. I'm excited that there is a Nintendo console in only 2 days away, but. I just don't know what to do. I don't know whether to cancel it, give it back to them after and get a refund, and then try and find one somewhere else.
You know what I'd do? Because you've got your pre-order, so you can pick it up any time that day, can't you?
Yes.
Right. So instead of going straight away first thing and picking it up, I'd think, right, this, because I like looking for things that I can't get hold of. I enjoy the thrill of the hunt and things like that.
You're
I'm a bit
sadist.
weird. I am. So I'd go round shopping first before you got a game. I'd hit Asda. I'd hit I don't know, the other shops, whatever you've got, Tesco. Mm-hmm. I'd hit all the supermarkets, and I'd hit any high street shop that you can think of, include if there are any independents, anything like that, in a radius that you're willing to travel to. And I'd hit them all sort of in the morning. I'd make that my morning mission before 12. And then, if I found one in a shop, I'd either buy it or say, hold it for me. And then I got a game and do my pre-order and then refund it.
Mm.
But you're going to sacrifice your morning, but I'd do that just out of spite.
Yeah, I've got a day to think about it.
But it's so easy just to go and take it and pick it up.
It really is.
So I think, knowing you and how tempting, it's you're going to get it and you're going to get your... What would you do? That'd be funny, right? It wouldn't be funny, but it would be bad, right? So you say you followed my plan. Say it all went swimmingly, and on the way to game, there was some guy on the street, and he waved and he said, "I've got a Switch for you here, Anthony." You went, "Demon, I'll pick that. I'll have that right now." So you took that off him, right? You gave him the money. You went to game. You took your pre-order, and then you refunded it, okay? And they said, "Yeah, well, you can't have your Zelda now because it only goes with the Switch, I'm afraid." No.
You'd hear about me on the local news. Man has a meltdown. I'll be like Michael Douglas in Falling Down.
Yeah, you would probably fall down.
That'd be one Egg McMuffin too far.
Oh well, but at least there's a silver lining because you've had your rant. They've responded in a good fashion, and you've got you definitely know you got your Switch. And you definitely know you've got your Zelda. I was laughing thinking that their reply is, "We're really sorry, Anthony. We realise the error of our ways, and we have decided on your advice to open at midnight on Thursday."
Yes.
Now that might have smoothed the way a little bit, mightn't it?
Absolutely. I'd go there at midnight and ask for a refund.
You're the only guy there, and you get a refund. That'd be so funny.
So anyway, enough of that. We'll see. I'll fill everyone in when we pod next week on our Switch extravaganza next week. So Daz, what have you been playing this week, sir?
Right, I've been playing a few games this week. I've been enjoying myself, which is good. It kind of makes up for the disappointment of Horizon Zero Dawn, the fact that I'm so immersed in a load of good games. I've been playing more of my Freedom Bundle. So I've been playing... I keep wanting to call Stardew Valley Terraria. It's really bizarre. But Stardew Valley I've been enjoying. Bit more of The Witness. Yeah, I've been enjoying that.
Have you started playing The Witness?
I've been playing a little bit. I played a few hours now.
What do you think? Have you got a pen and a pad yet?
No.
Try and working out puzzles and stuff?
I consider it cheating to use a pen and a pad.
No.
But maybe it's unavoidable.
No, the whole point about The Witness, everyone who I saw playing The Witness last year had a pen and a pad. You will be taking screenshots. You will be working out in Photoshop. You need a pen and a pad.
Well, I'm very early in.
It is not cheating to have a pen and pad. Do not hurt yourself mentally and not have a pen and a pad, because I even bought one with nice dots. It was very lovely. So yeah, no, you need that, dude, because otherwise you will just drive yourself crazy.
Oh, well, thanks for releasing me there.
Looking on the internet, now that's cheating, but a pen and a pad it's almost an accessory to that game.
Oh, wow. Well, the bit I've got up to is the trees. So I don't know how far, that's probably not very far in. So you use the trees to help you with the puzzle.
Right,
okay. Do you remember that bit?
No, because you could have gone a different way to me.
Oh, right. Well, there's an apple on the tree, and you've got to sort of pick where it is.
No. I never got no.
Ooh.
You probably went right and I went left or something.
That's weird.
It is, isn't it?
Okay, I thought you just followed the cables. Maybe I missed a cable.
No.
Okay, but I'm enjoying it. What do I think of it? I think it's what I thought it was, which is a load of puzzles in a pretty 3D environment. That's what I think it is. And the puzzles are quite fun. I don't think it was any way worth I think it's still that price now. I don't think it was worth the price that it was released at, personally, because I just think it's a collection of puzzles. I'm glad I didn't buy it. But I do think it's okay. So it's
awesome.
all right. So I'm enjoying it. I've got it in 4K, which is good.
Nice. Does it look good?
Yeah, it looks really pretty. And it's got a beautiful style to it. And the puzzles are good. You know, you sit there and you're like, There was one weird one where, as you went through the puzzle, half of the puzzle disappeared. So then you sort of had to imagine what the second part was doing as you moved the first part. Mm-hmm. And it was quite subtle the way it disappeared and stuff. And by the end of it, it's like, hold on, and it's like but I'm very early on, so I don't think the puzzles are very hard yet.
I love it because when you kind of have a puzzle that you can't solve and you're sitting there for like 20 minutes and then suddenly it all just clicks and, you know, you've scribbled on your pen and pad and you've looked at it and you've taken a picture with your phone and then you complete it and you just feel like you feel so clever. And then you get to the next one and it makes you feel stupid again. You know, and I love that about that game.
Yeah, I was like that with Braid. I remember playing Braid, which is by Jonathan Blow as well. I think predecessor, I suppose, to The Witness, or his last game anyway. And I loved that game. And yeah, I'd get stuck. And I remember there was one level, there's many levels like this, but the first time I came across it, it was crossing a chasm. And me and Claire were trying to figure it out, and we just couldn't. And then I think Claire just fell asleep, and I just sat cross-legged in front of the screen, staring at it. And I swear, man, I couldn't move. I couldn't go and do something else. And I was damned if I was doing anything else till I'd done it.
Yeah.
And it took ages, but then when it did click, it's funny because you try loads of stuff and it's like, oh, I'll try this. But when it clicks, it's like, oh, will this work? And that never works. And all of a sudden you go, it's a proper eureka moment, isn't it? And you just go, ah.
See, it's funny you should say that because Nicola gets annoyed at me when we were playing it together because I would try different things and go, nope, that didn't work. What about this? Nope, that didn't work. When Nicola doesn't want anything to move until she's worked it out. And then she does it. And it was really funny because at one point she went, I can't play this with you because you just annoy me. You know, because I was going, oh, I think it's this. No, damn it, I think it's this. And then so she was like, no, just wait until look at it, work it out, and then do it. So it's quite interesting that you're like me, where you'll just try some random things in there just to see if they work.
Yeah, just because it's like, well, this might work, and then eventually it's just that slows down. Because you've exhausted everything, and then it's like right, and that's when the stakeout starts. I did it on, I think,
staring competition.
Yeah, God of War 2 had a puzzle where you were in a room with a river or a stream that ran round the room, and the stream was outside. It ran through some prison cells that you couldn't reach because the doors were locked. And you had to get a key or something. The one cell was open. And the rest were all closed, and you could only go in one cell or something. And that one, everyone fell asleep in the room while I stared at it, and I worked it out. But me and my mate Gav, we were like, he was determined to do it as well, but he just fell asleep because we'd been up so late the night before. Claire, I think Claire was doing the ironing, and I was just sat there like, And in the end, I worked it out, and you dragged a body into the stream, and it washed it round to the room you could get to. But once I worked it was a genius puzzle. And once I worked it out, this is the thing, like all the things I was doing, I was like, it was just chancing my arm. It's like, and yeah, it didn't work. It's very rare, I think, when you just try something and it actually works. But once it clicked, it was like, this isn't a try. This is like you say, that Nicola, I knew that would work. It was like, that's what the dev was thinking. And it's like, and you feel so good, don't you? You've really matched the dev's brain. Well, not really, because it took 2 hours or whatever.
You've bested Jonathan Blow.
Yeah. So anyway, so those games, Subnautica I've been playing more of. Oh man, that's sublime, this game. Absolutely. It's out on Xbox as early access as well, I believe. I didn't realise that last week when I mentioned it. So you could have a little go. You could have a little free look. It's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful, the sort of Caribbean Sea that you go in. Well, there's all different biomes anyway that you swim through, but the one that you start in is so colourful and beautiful. And what I started to do then, I've been playing it more since last week. I really only had the pod that you drop in, your escape pod, and it's floating in the sea. That's kind of your safe haven. As the week has gone by, I've worked out more of the game, got more comfortable within the planet and the underwater world, and started to create my own sea base. So built a foundation on the seabed, found a blueprint for a big room. You harvested loads of titanium and built an actual base that I can go in. I went in the base, thought, oh, you're so clever, Dad. Went in the base, no oxygen. We have no power. I was like, oh, that's just weird. So I tried fashioning a pipe from sort of the surface right down to the base. That didn't work. What I needed to do was just create a power supply. So I did a solar power supply, put that on the roof of the base. All of a sudden, all systems online. I was like, oh, wow, oxygen. And I was like in this base, and I was like, this is demon now. I've got a base miles away from my other base, so I can forage further, come back here for air. And then it was kind of like, oh, I haven't got anywhere to put my stuff now because I've got to go all the way back to the other base to put my stuff. So I hunted around and built a locker, put the locker in my base. Then it was kind of like, but I can't actually craft things in here because I haven't got a fabricator. So I spent ages. I found out what are the ingredients for a fabricator. It's this. Oh, that's all quite rare. So I went, right, on a mission, let's go. So scuba diving, swimming really deep, found the stuff, built a fabricator. I was like, yes, this is brilliant. Now I can make anything that I want in here. Then I built an aquarium in there so I could keep fishing there for food and for H2O. I was just like, oh man, this game is so class. And then what happened? I explored a wreck and found a blueprint for a mobile sea base platform or something like that. So by building that, it let me build a submersible, like a submarine. So now I've got like a little submarine that I can get in and go around, and that's got oxygen inside it, and it's a lot faster than swimming. So it's so good. So now I've got my original escape pod. I've got my base that I've built a little distance away, about 100 metres away or so. There, I've got my my mobile sea platform, and I've got I think it's called the Sea Moth, a little sort of submersible submarine thing that I can get in and just go around. I've got a battery charger in there to recharge my power sources. It's cool. It's so good. Oh, wow. And so I had to go on it in VR as well.
Wow.
Because it's VR compatible. So the other night, I had to go in VR, and that was incredible. I turned the graphics down because on all my fullness that I got on normal, it just chugged like a right one. So I turned the graphics down and stuff. In VR, it doesn't really matter about that anyway, and just dove into the water and had a swim. At first I thought it uses the tracker controls, but it doesn't. It just seems to use the pad. It sort of did. I was stood up in the middle of the room when I did it, and it did make me lose my balance a bit because you can imagine the kind of freeform movement underwater. And I was a bit like, whoa. But yeah, that was really cool. But that was the end of a long VR session. So I only had a quick go, and I kind of thought, oh, this is a bit fiddly because some of the information on the HUD was too far off the screen for me to see with my eyes.
Right.
And it's just like, this would be good for a quick mess about, just to have a swim. But as for playing, it's not for me. It's not there yet because I've got used to it, sort of, on a 2D screen. So I was like, yeah, this is good. This will be brilliant when I've built more and I can go and explore everything that I've built, in VR, but not so good for actually playing and building and, experience, playing the long game in VR. I wouldn't want to play the long game in VR at the moment, but it's early access. That could well change. So I played a few things in VR, actually. So Subnautica. Then I've been playing an awesome game called Racket NX. And Racket NX it's Vive only, and I think it may be Vive only for a while because it's a 360 game. That meaning not an Xbox 360, but it's all around game. It's a game where you turn around in. This is a really cool racquetball game. So it's a little bit like squash, but it's in sort of a futuristic arena, quite a small arena. It's like you're in a dome, and you stand right in the middle. And it sort of looks like it's got sort of a classic Space Invaders sort of retro look about it, but it looks really good. You stand in the middle, and on the floor there's it's a circular arena, okay? And on the floor there's like an orange light that comes in from the perimeter, and it comes towards you, din, 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 and it fills the room all around you. And if it reaches the middle, it's game over. To stop the orange light reaching you, because it's basically a timer, you hit the ball with the racket, which is your Vive controller. You smack the ball against the sides of the arena, which is all around you. All around the arena, there are green. I think it's made up of hexagons, mainly. Yeah, I think it's hexagons that it's made up, so it's sort of like a hive all around. And some of them are green. You get like sort of one hexagon will be lit up as green, one or two, or just singular ones will be lit up as green. If you hit them, it gives you like 2 seconds bonus. But there's also big shapes as well that take repeated smashes. So like you'll get a big shape, sort of like a hieroglyphic shape or something like that, and you've got to hit that say 3 or 4 times. And once you've hit that, then it resets the timer as well. Once you've got rid of it by hitting it 5 times, and so it's quite simple. You smash the ball into the wall. When it hits the wall, it bounces back to you. And you could let it fly over your head and hit the other wall if you wanted, as you spin round and survey what's behind you. And it just goes on. There's different modes. There's a multiplayer mode that I've yet to play. I've only played the arcade mode at the moment because I played the demo and it had its awesome mode where you just get a high score and it's got a leaderboard. Since getting the game, that's the only mode I've played because I just find it completely addictive. It's completely awesome, and I've been just learning how to play it, I suppose. So I think on my first go I was kind of 400th in the world, which probably means there's 400 people playing it, and now I'm up to about 83. And I'm really liking it. I actually think it might be the best game I've played on Vive. It's amazing.
Really?
I know maybe my description didn't get it across, but it's just I feel like you forget you're in VR. It feels like I'm in a futuristic squash court, like Tron. It feels like I'm Tron in a squash court, but the squash court goes all around you. Wow. And it's absolutely fantastic. And this is only in one mode. And this is early access. It's another early access game as well. But this mode is awesome. I absolutely love it. I really love it. I can't get enough of it. Since getting it, I only got it yesterday or the day before. I played it every day, twice a day so far. It's great. It's great.
So are you jumping around a lot?
You do get twisted up in the wire a little bit, which is annoying because you're constantly spinning around looking for where the next target is because you hit one, so you go and you're doing really well and you're hitting it well and you blast that first one off the side and then you're sort of looking round and it could easily be behind you, so it's difficult to plan. So you are twisting round a lot, but you don't really run around because your sort of central hub is the centre spot, so you really stay in the centre. So you're spinning round and you probably walk about if you imagine a circle about 3 foot wide,
right?
That's your area that you sort of manoeuvre in, but you don't really run because of the way that you're stood in the middle and it's circular around you. Whenever you hit the ball, it's pretty much going to be flying towards you from one direction or another, but it might be behind you. So there's a lot of twisting and sort of moving around, but not so much running side to side like you would in tennis or something like that. You're very much fixed in the middle. it works really well. I don't know if they could bring it out for PSVR, because I'm wondering if they could do like a 180 version, or maybe the devs could work out an easy way. You know, like in Resident Evil, how you tip the control sort of a little bit. You tip your vision, don't you? Do a 45-degree thing to the side, don't you? Something like that.
Or even the Brookhaven experiment, where you actually just kind of click on the control pads and then you just switch round. You know, you actually kind of do that maneuver. So no, I just wondered if, because I know last week we were talking about you doing cardio in VR, so I wondered if this was something that you could add to your workout routine.
Well, yeah, this gets you sweating. It definitely gets you sweating, but it does, but as I say, it's not running or anything, but it gets you sweating because you're constantly whacking the ball, and the harder you whack it, if you hit it really hard, it sort of gives it a bit of a boost. And instead of just hitting one tile on the perimeter of the arena, it'll sort of hit the ball and go and boost through a few of them. So it pays dividends to hit it as hard as you can and keep it on target, because you get a multiplier the more you hit, the more successful strikes you get on the run. So it comes back, and you want to be hitting the next target straight away without missing one, because if you hit just the wall with nothing, you lose your multiplier. And you've got the timer to worry about as well. So you're looking around, you're looking all around, you're looking behind you, you're getting twisted up in the wire, you're trying to undo that. It's brilliant. It's really good. It's fantastic. I really love it. So that's Racket NX, and that's the early access game. It's honestly, man, it's brilliant. I love it. So I've been playing that, and it's funny you mentioned this cardio thing, because I've been trying to implement it since Monday. Actually, I wasn't going to say it, but for my games choice, it is next as well. It might become a bit obvious. So the next game, I was looking at something that would get my heart racing in VR, because I was thinking of joining the gym for like £600 or whatever, and I saw another video. I was reading one of my VR feeds on, I think, Monday morning, and I saw this guy, and he said, "This is a mixed reality film I did of myself playing Thrill of the Fight with a Fitbit on. Look at me, I burned 800 calories in an hour and got my heart rate way up." And I was like, "Oh wow, that sounds amazing. I'll watch this." So I watched it, and yeah, he was proper working hard. You know, he was proper working hard, and I thought, wow, let's have a look at this. So this is the Thrill of the Fight. This is an awesome game by a single guy called Ian Fitz, who's doing this project on his own, and it's a boxing game.
Wow!
And it's brilliant. So, it's like Punch Out.
Okay, so that's Thrill of the Fight VR.
Thrill of the Fight VR, yeah.
I'm just googling it now
while
you're talking.
The Thrill of the Fight VR Boxing is its full title. It's really cool. This game, no messing about. There's no buttons. You hold those controllers in your hands, and they're the boxing gloves.
Right.
And that's it. You go in the ring, and you punch the other guy. He's in front of you. You've got to dodge. You've got to weave. You've got to look for openings. You hold. Just to let you know, I don't know anything about boxing. I don't know anything about boxing at all. But I thought, I've also heard that boxing training, not that this is boxing training, but boxing is good for you. It's a good exercise to do. This as an exercise is almost like shadow boxing, because what you're actually doing is you're jumping around, and you're throwing punches all the time. And it's like the guy said on the video, he was in there for an hour beating. He went through all 6 opponents or something, and it took him an hour. It was like, I thought I'd been in there for half an hour because I was enjoying the game that much.
Yeah,
and it just clicked for me. I thought, forget joining the gym. I've spent all this money on a Vive. If I can use that and get a workout as well, because I don't use the VR enough anyway, because I always feel guilty that I'm sort of slacking off if I'm in VR. But I wouldn't feel guilty at all about spending an hour or an hour and a half every day at the gym. And I thought, I'll just save the gym money and do some more VR. But a bit of exerting VR. So I got this Thrill of the Fight and gave it a go, and I kind of thought, oh well, will it get? Will it work? Will it get me? Will it get me out of breath? My goodness me, absolutely shattered after the first go on Monday.
That's awesome.
Absolutely drenched in sweat. So as I say, you're there with your boxing gloves. You can position the controllers where you want. There's a settings mode where the gloves will hold still if you're not happy where the defaults are. And you can sort of move the controllers around the glove till you're happy with it, and then sort of click it, and then the gloves will stick to your controllers, so you can get a nice sort of feel for where you want the gloves to be. Because when I did it on default, I sort of did this sort of as if you're doing one of them balls, you know, those balls that boxers do that are up in the air. The sort of the fastball, whatever it's called. And I sort of tried to. I was getting so annoyed with getting punched by him, so I just stood there and sort of did a scrappy do on him and went. And I smashed my thumb with the controller because the gloves in the game, the controllers were too close to the inside of my hands. So when I did that, I basically smashed the controller into my right thumb, the left one into my right thumb. I was like, but I carried on. I carried on fighting anyway, man.
Oh, wow, you're like a proper boxer.
I felt I was learning about fighting. I've never been in a fight in my life, but in the end, I was just getting pummeled that much. I was like, right, so he keeps blocking, so I'll try blocking. So I held up my gloves in front of my face, and then he couldn't hit me. And then it was like, yeah, but he's not trying to hit me. So then it was like feinting by sticking my face out to him, and then actually looking for his punch. It's a lot easier when you know you're not going to get hurt. And then leaning back, you know, and dodging his punch, and then coming in with a hook and all this. And it's excellent. It's excellent. The graphics are okay, you know, they're not what we expect in the games we play these days, but they're good for VR. They're okay. They're passable. And the guys, you know, there's all different. There's a few different. I think there's like 6 different boxes at the moment. And that's it. Right, a second go, I pressed the wrong button on that. There's a notice board where you select your opponent, and I picked the wrong one, and I ended up in a dungeon fighting a zombie, and he was like, and I was like, oh, I don't like this straight away. And I was like, and the bell went ding ding, and I was like, come on then, zombie. Started punching him. He just kept advancing, and I was like punching him as hard as I could, man. And I was like, he wouldn't back off, and I was like, he got me right up to the wall. I was like, I nearly ran into the wall. I was like freaking out, and then he just draped himself over me, and I started biting my neck. I was like, like proper, like pummeling him, running away and stuff. Oh man! But I did knock him out after a while. But he was bad because a lot of the boxers they will step back and stuff, but the zombie just kept advancing all the time, and it was like I was getting tangled up in the wire again, and so that was good. So that's the thrill of the fight, VR boxing. It's made by just one guy who's doing this. He says it'll probably take about 6 months to get it out there, you know, as a fully finished game. Mm-hmm. But it's completely playable at the moment, and it's great fun. It's great fun. And again, I hope I'm going to get in touch with both of these developer guys and ask them if they're going to bring it out on other systems, because I want you to play these games. They're ace.
Really it sounds great. I mean, it does definitely sound like kind of one of the limitations of PlayStation VR is that we don't get these early access games, you know, where you can kind of, you know, I know Xbox has early access, but we don't have any VR plugged into that, where you can actually get these games and grow with the game. You know, I like that idea. If there's a game that I'm vested in, you know, I was going to do it for We Happy Few, but then that turned out to be a really bad game. But, you know, it's really good just to go, yeah, I know what state this game's in. I'm happy to accept that. You know, let me have it. You know, let me play some. So both of those sound really cool. Yeah,
well, as I say, I'm going to get in touch with the guys and just ask them about possibility of PSVR. Because I did about Dyna Duo, and the guy said, yeah, we're just going through a certification process. It takes a while. So I'll reach out and let you know, because they're just so cool. And you hit the nail on the head there, you know, though. Yeah, we get the early access stuff, but that means we get all the dross. It all goes through a filter. The successful stuff goes over to you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, or you know, this is where they're plumbing for because they know there's a big audience. You know, it's that kind of swings and roundabouts, isn't it, between the 2 systems or 3 systems even.
Yeah, and even more systems maybe, but we'll get to that later. And apart from that, I wrote on the list here Horizon Zero Dawn, but obviously no, mine didn't arrive. So that's me.
So for me, I mean, it's really funny actually. Over the weekend, Nicola and I had a bit of a lazy weekend because we've got quite a lot of stuff happening over the next kind of 4 or 5 weekends. So we were like, right, you know, this weekend I think Nicola had a bit of a flu anyway, so it was like we'll just play some games. She's kind of happy, kind of doing whatever game, Lego or Skyrim, that she's kind of flip flopping, and I was quite antsy because obviously we had a great time in Forza Horizon on the Friday night, and I got a couple of achievements that I was after, and so there was all of that, and then I was like, right, what do I do? Do I continue playing Halo or Halo Wars, or you know, should I play this? I was thinking, or should I play Resident Evil? And neither of those I wanted to jump into because I knew that I had Horizon Zero Dawn on Wednesday. It is Wednesday today, isn't it? Yes, on
Yeah.
Wednesday. Thank you. On Wednesday, and then I had Zelda on Friday. I thought, I've got two big games that I just want to focus on, and I just want to focus on these two big games. So I was like, well, what do I do? I'm not quite sure. And I just found myself flip-flopping between games. I was like, should I try this? And then I was getting caught up in the Halo Wars 2 story, and I was really enjoying that. I had a quick go of the Wildlands beta, because there was another beta. There was an open beta this week. This was this past weekend, so I had a quick go of that, but nothing was really kind of grabbing me. And then I saw on my Xbox Dash, I saw Firewatch, and I was like, Firewatch, and I was like, and I knew that I could get that done in like 4 hours, and I was like, that's quite interesting, because I played it on the PlayStation 4, when it came out, but we were actually sent a code by Campo Santo for Xbox One, so I had a quick go when it first came out, and I talked about it on the pod, but I never really kind of got into it. I never did the free roam mode or any of that. So I just sat down, restarted the game, because obviously I did some when we were reviewing it for the pod, and I restarted the game and just sat there and just started playing through Firewatch, and I absolutely loved it. And I just went through again, and it was really interesting because I knew where the story was going, I knew all the beats, but this time I got to enjoy the narrative. I got to actually enjoy all of the voice acting, got to enjoy the story more, and also got to enjoy the environments, where before I was just going, right, I need to go there and I need to go, and I was more kind of preoccupied with going from the next beat in the story, where this time I was actually enjoying the subtleties, the voice acting, and I was just really, it felt like I was watching Empire Strikes Back again, and just kind of sitting there and actually enjoying all of those little things. So I played through the entire story. I think it took me about 4 hours, and then I noticed on the Xbox One that I had about, I think there was like 4 achievements left, and all of those were easily achievable if you just played the free roaming mode, because there was like find a turtle, adopt a turtle, I think there was adopt a turtle, find a song, and also come across a raccoon, so there was all of these things that were very easy to do. So I just kind of walked around the map and just kind of really enjoyed that kind of on Sunday. I finished it Sunday morning. Started it Saturday, finished it Sunday morning. I just really enjoyed it. And then I was done, and I got 1,000 achievements. So that was like, I was happy with that, because I'm desperate to get 100,000 on my gamer score. The first half of this year. So I was quite happy that kind of satisfied. I wanted to play some games, but at the same time, I didn't want to leave another story hanging.
Yeah, I felt like that as well. I've been treading water, if you like, with the games. Subnautica's good because it's got no objective. You just make up your own thing.
Yes.
So that's been really good as an escape from my mind, just wanting this new game for me. And obviously the other two are just they're quick games. But I know exactly what you mean. I mean, I couldn't be doing with starting off on any big expedition into a massive story, into some massive game at all, because it's all been about, right, everything's keyed up. Everything's finished, let's wait for this. I was kind of sitting there as well. I was like, I could play Dark Souls. I haven't finished Ashes of Ariandel yet, because it's sort of, I've been distracted, so I have got that to do, and I've got Deus Ex to finish as well while I think about it. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. That itch is waiting. And I don't want to start anything else like that. It's as if I've got a part of me reserved for Zero Dawn.
Absolutely. I knew that I had 2 big open world games that were going to be both 40 hours plus, and I really want to just focus on these 2, and I was just like, I really don't want to play anything else. I was going to fire up Stardew Valley on the Xbox One. I was going to buy that and play that, but then I was thinking, actually that would lend itself really well to the Switch, because while you're around, you just pick it up,
please get that on Switch.
Yeah, you just do a day, don't you? You do a day and then you just put it aside and you're done. It's a bit like me and Solitaire on the iPad. You just do a daily challenge and then you're happy and you're progressing.
I'd love to talk to you about that game. If you get that, it'll be so good to talk. It's a beautiful game, that. So nice.
Absolutely. I was thinking about getting it on on the Xbox One, but then I was thinking, well, I'm relegated to the small TV, and I might just kind of struggle to kind of see without sitting really close. So I thought, do you know what, the Switch is going to be perfect for this, because even if I'm deep into Zelda, I could just go do a bit of farming, do a bit of harvesting, and then jump straight back into Zelda. So I just thought this would be a perfect Switch title.
I think you've just hit on the classic combo there for Switch. Zelda and Stardew Valley.
Oh my God, yes.
And with the racing game with NX, is it NX? Fast Racing NX, is it called?
It's called Fast RMX.
Oh, right, yeah, Fast Racing NX. Yeah, Fast RNX. Those three, man, that's like Holy Trinity. It's completely passable. You'd have a lot of fun there.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know when Stardew Valley's coming out. I don't know if it's coming out on Friday, but I know it's definitely a Switch title because they had it in their Nindies launch.
It's one of the Nindies, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was very kind of, I thought, I'm going to do that. So I just kind of popped that. And then I jumped into Firewatch, loved it. Absolutely loved it. And then the great thing was, when I woke up early on Sunday, Nicola was still kind of in bed. She was, brought up a cup of tea. She was watching Monty Dom. So I was like, great, I'm going to go down on the big TV. And I got to finish Firewatch on the big TV. And it was, it was absolutely glorious. So it was just lovely. And then I just got to do the free roaming bits back on the little TV. And I was absolutely more than happy. It was really cool. So I got 1,000 on that. And then today, the big one, the kind of, I guess, really kind of the first really big title of this year. Halo Wars 2 was great. Neo is great if you like to just kill yourself that way, but the first really big title, something that we've both been looking forward to for a while. It got cancelled out of last year, and it was the 1st of March. It's Horizon Zero Dawn. And oh my God. I mean, the first thing I have to say about this game, and I won't say too much because obviously it's not fair on you, sir, but the first thing I have to say about this game is it is stunning. It is absolutely stunning. The HDR kicks in. I'm playing this on the PS4 Pro with a 4K TV, and the HDR kicks in straight away, and it just makes the environments look so rich, so detailed, and it is also because when you fire it up, you have two modes. So you have whether you want frame rate or whether you want performance. And no surprise to anyone listening, I've gone for performance because I want it to look as pretty and as shiny as it can. So it upscales to 2160 checkerboard 4K and looks glorious. If ever I wanted to show off 4K gaming, checkerboard, but I'm just going to call it for 4K from continuing on from this, if ever I wanted to show off 4K gaming and HDR, this is the game to show. It looks amazing. The environments are so detailed. The oranges, it's very orange, and then there's this blue that all the characters are wearing at the moment and where I am in the game. And it's just absolutely stunning. And it just, I'm sure this game looks great on just the default PlayStation 4 with any TV, but having that little HDR, having the HDR bump, having that 4K bump just really does add something incredibly special to this game, and it just looks absolutely stunning.
You'll have to do a little switch and have a look, see what it looks like in the default mode, if you get time. So, like you say, we've been anticipating this for ages. This is one of those games that, it's not that rare that a spectacular game comes along. But this is one of those that you sort of knew, didn't you, from the instant it was revealed. Mm-hmm. From that first footage that we saw, as our jaws hit the floor and we thought, wow, there's a game. There's a game we want. Sort of instantly. It's like instant classic. You kind of knew it. It doesn't always pan out, but pretty much you can recognise they've got that certain special something, and this seemed to have it, and it seems like it's got it in its completion now. So you're saying it looks stunning. Is it the most beautiful game you've ever seen? That's a bit subjective.
Yeah, it's
technically though.
It's definitely technically, yes. I sat there today, constantly just wowed. Whenever there was a cutscene, whenever you are hiding in the long grass and maybe a walker comes close to you and they turn around and there's lens flare that just is triggered from the light at the end. It's like J.J. Abrams got his hands on this game. The lens flare on that. And when Nicola came home this evening, I said to her, I've just paused this. I picked her up from work and I kind of drove her home and I said, look, before we do anything, come and look at this. And I just showed her this one one bit, because it's a red-headed protagonist. So I thought she would gel with that. She would like that. She was quite, because whenever she does like Femshep in Mass Effect, she has a redhead, or when Witcher, or whatever, or not Witcher, Dragon Age. So I was like, look at this, check this out, and she was just like, wow. She was just blown away by it. She did say, oh, this looks a bit complicated, and I was like, no, just think of it as The Witcher. It builds as you start playing through the game. It starts giving you those mechanics. It's not a long drawn out tutorial, but it does just kind of slowly kind of give you what you need, and then by the time you are free roaming, you feel like a master of what you have right now. And that's kind of where I am. I've kind of started doing some missions. I've ignored some people from side quests, but I've started to do some of the main missions, and I'm out there and kind of just in the world, and I'm just absolutely loving it. There is nothing more epic in this game than hiding in the long grass. So what you will have a couple of stalkers, or a herd of stalkers who are a bit like deer. And you have the deer, and they're there, but then you will have these little scout things, and they're also almost like velociraptors, and they're just kind of walking around in the long grass. And what I like to do is you can actually see their pattern, their patrol pattern, and I like to go there, find out where they are, get close to them, and then just take them out. And then so I'm taking all those out, because if you startle one of those, or if they see you, they will tell the herd, and the herd will run away. So I like to just take those out and just go dance around the perimeter, stealthily taking those out, and then, go and get one of the big guys. And it is just absolutely stunning, and I just absolutely, there's nothing more kind of, you feel really cool when you kind of chain all of that together, and it just feels very good. And there's a couple of things that build up to where I am, couple of big moments, and some of those are one I actually died a couple of times doing it, but it was really cool. I just really didn't mind. I was like, okay, I know where I went wrong there. I should have done this and this, and that was really quite satisfying, knowing that it wasn't a game mechanic. You're not fumbling over the controls. It was actually because I just went a bit gung-ho at that point, because I'm trying to play this game a bit stealthily, actually, because I think that if you do go in gung-ho, you will alert everyone, and they will just come running at you, whether it's humans or whether it's the animals or the robots.
Yeah, a lot of things I've been reading about is you have got that autonomy and that agency to pick the way you want to approach it. You can go in all guns steaming, or you can take a step back and just stealth it with your bow and arrow. What the reports I've been reading said either way is viable and enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they're leaning towards the stealth. They say the bow and arrow is kind of sublime to use.
Especially with the animals, I would say the stealth approach with the animals was good. When I came across some humans that were chasing me, I did just go complete gung-ho, where I actually let out 20 arrows in quick succession to this guy, and it was like quite a badass dude, almost like a little mini boss, and I just loaded up my crafted 20 arrows and just let them at him. And I think he was kind of dead at about arrow 15, but I just did not stop,
Legolas Chesson.
Yeah, I was just like, I just want to make sure that you are.
But had he annoyed you? Were you pretending he was the guy from Game?
Yes, he was like, sorry, you can't pre-order Zelda. So
world leaderboards are broken all of a sudden.
It was so cool. I kind of played it. I started playing about 9:30. I did the stupid thing where I kind of my PlayStation 4 said, "Oh, there's an update to the beta. Would you like it?" And I was like, "Yes, of course I would. I want to make sure I've got the best, the most up to date." And I did that, and that took like 20 minutes. I was like, "Damn it, Chesson, why did you do that?" So I started at about 9:30. Went and met Nicola for a coffee to recharge my controller between kind of 1 and 2, and then I continued playing it for the rest of the day. So I'm a good 5 hours in. Like I say, I'm out of the main area. I'm out of the village. I'm kind of out into the wild now, and I've started to get some quests. I'm crafting. I'm adding some extra stuff. I'm upgrading my weapons. It's very crafty. There's a lot of, you're forever seeing things to pick up, like health or rocks or twigs for arrows, and whenever you come across a pack of animals, you do kind of feel that you want to take a couple of them out, so you will be able to craft things like weapons and things like that later on. So at the moment I'm making my way through the area, and then I suddenly see some over to the right, and I stop, and then off I go, and just try and take them out and do that. But I'm absolutely loving it. I'm enjoying that. I can't wait to progress this story because it's already got its hooked in me, because I want to know more about what's happened. I want to know kind of more about the story and the characters.
Wow. Does it make you feel like a hero with the control system? Does it feel good to play?
It
just
really
the general
does.
Is it tight controls for just general exploration and combat?
Yes, absolutely. It is really good. The jumping or any of the climbing is very easy. It's just a case of, a classic case of any game. You see a white edge to a cliff and you can climb that, so you kind of have that. And it just feels great. There's everything about the controls, the camera. This is a polished, you can tell that money has been spent on this game. You can tell that time has been spent on this game, and you can tell there's some clever people doing this, because everything about the mechanics, the movability, the way it walks, the way it feels, it all is just instantly clicking. And the funny thing was right at the start, when you take control of your character, they're like, right, you got to get out of this cave, and I saw an opening over it was pointing you to the left, and I saw something to the right, and I was like, right, I'm going to go and explore over there. It instantly made me want to explore. It just kind of go, and it was really interesting. I was just like instantly going, oh, I want to go over there. So whenever I find myself in an area, I am looking for things, and just to see if there are any kind of trophies or clues to the world, or etc.
Yeah, you that's the thing. You want the world to be almost a character within the game. Some sort of character that you really want to explore and find out all the different nooks and crannies of. And not every game hits it. Not a lot of not every open world game hits that. In some open world games, and I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but you feel that the open world is just sort of a hindrance to getting to the next story objective, and it's like, I've got to travel all that way. Yeah. There's games where you would just definitely fast travel, and if you didn't have fast travel, you'd be thinking to yourself, I wish I had fast travel. And that's where an open world, I think, has failed, hasn't it? Because the beauty of an open world is, I think, from what you're saying, Horizon's nailed it here, is that just and I think this is about really the use of technology within the game, isn't it? Because you make it so lush and beautiful that there's an allure to just explore and forage around and make up your own stories within the game. And I think when a game makes you do that, when a cave off to the side is sort of more tempting or as tempting as advancing the story, I think that's the sign of a very, very good game.
Yeah. I mean, there was one bit where you had to make your way through the village. You had to go to a festival, and as you're making your way through the village, there are street performers that you can just suddenly stop and just sit and watch them. There's even a big fire that you can warm your hands, and it was just all of that, and I love that because I took my character, Aloy. I took my character to the fire, and then I kind of pressed interact button, and it was just the way that she was rubbing her hands and warming her hands, and it was that sort of thing, and I just really loved it. And I just stood there for a while, and you can, even as you're walking through this village, you can say hello to anyone, you can just give them a greeting, a blessing, and it was just so lovely, and I just kept stopping and watching these performances, and everything just seems, it's just so well crafted. This is like Skyrim 2.0, this is better than The Witcher. This is just something that I'm just so, it's part of me surprised that this has come from Guerrilla Games, because as much as great Killzone was, it was never this good. They were never this good. And I'm just so glad that this has come out, and it's just fantastic. This is a must play for any kind of PlayStation 4 owner. Even more so than Uncharted, I think, because so far, like I say, I'm 5 hours in. I cannot wait to play more of this game. It has got all of its hooks and more into me, because I left it because I had to have dinner and then come up to pod. I left it on a point where I was just about to go into a really interesting mission. I'm like, right, I'll leave that for later on, and that's going to be in the back of my mind, kind of thinking about that. But Horizon Zero Dawn it's just beautiful. It's tight controls. It's a great story. It's well acted. It's well voice acted. It just really does. It ticks the boxes.
What about the music? What about the music?
Gorgeous there. I mean, I must admit, it's so lovely.
Whatever I ask, it's beautiful. It's brilliant. Excellent.
It was so great because I was down in the movie room today on the big TV, obviously, and I was in the house on my own. and I have a semi-detached house, so the neighbours next door, and I noticed the neighbour leaving this morning. So I just had the surround sound, maybe just a little bit too loud at some points, and it was just great. It started raining, and this was raining. My movie room was raining. It was just like the rattling around the 3D sound was amazing, because there was a character. Actually, there was some animals that were attacking me, some robots that were attacking me, and I kind of ran over to the left. So suddenly I could just hear them out of the right, and I could pinpoint. I knew exactly where they were, because it was really making good use of surround sound. It was really making amazing use of surround sound, and that was just fantastic, and I was really enjoying that. So I had it perhaps like 10 on the volume. I had it like 10 more than I would normally do it. So it was just like, it sounded amazing. I was really just like, for the first time, because normally I play with headphones, and kind of because I'm a very early gamer or a very late gamer in the evening. So it was quite nice just to have the surround sound just really kind of rattling, and when there was music in game, you could really feel it building up in the surround sound.
Does it sort of swell up contextually? You sort of enter in somewhere, and it'll, like if you're in combat, it'll go dun 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 dun, and if you go to a forest, it's kind of like something like that.
I guess
maybe what you want about.
It's not like Halo. It's not like da 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 da, but it's there, and it's absolutely amazing. And during the cutscenes, and there's some very touching moments already right at the start.
Brilliant.
There's some really good stuff, and there's some great explosions. And like I say, I've probably met about 4 different types of the robot animals. I think
there's 26 altogether, isn't there?
Oh wow! As well as something else, I haven't come across any of those big things yet, but I cannot wait to come across those. I'm working through the leveling up system, because you can level up all of your abilities. So I'm working through that, and I think I'm like level 11 at the moment. It's quite interesting, because the main story, I need to be level 12 for that, so that's why I'm just doing this side quest to see if I can get to level 12 to do that. But I think it's quite easy to kind of level up and kind of keep crafting. But one of the things I do like about one of the things I really like about Horizon Zero Dawn is when you come across certain junctions. Say for instance, a kid throws a stone at you. You then get faced, very much kind of Mass Effect-y, you get faced with 3 options. So you have a fist option, which is obviously to fight, which is to throw a stone back at him. You have a heart option, which is maybe to knock the stone out of his hand, or you have a heart option. So you have a heart and a brain option as well, which is just to drop your stone that you picked up and walk away. So you have fist, heart, and brain, and you get to choose those in multiple junctions. So I'm building my alloy. I'm building my Aloy, however you pronounce her name. I'm building my character to that. So there's some. Most of the time, I'm either between brain or heart, and just kind of using those. And it's not at every. Dialogue, but it's at these kind of key pivotal moments that you get to choose between the 3 of those and craft your character however you want them.
What are you in real life, Anthony? Are you heart, brain, or fist?
I think I'm brain.
Yeah?
Yeah. I would never get into a fight. I will walk away. I will try and defuse it. That sort of stuff. So for instance, this kid threw a stone at you. You had an option to throw a stone back at him. You had an option to knock the stone out of his hand.
Do you know what will happen, or do you just sort of pick the heart and then something will happen, but you don't know exactly what it is? Or do you know exactly what will happen?
You know exactly what will happen. It will have a little heart symbol, and the heart was to throw the stone. Sorry, no, the brain symbol was to throw the stone.
Is that written in text then underneath?
Yeah, and knock the stone out of his hand. So it's brain, knock the stone out of his hand, fist, throw a stone back at him, and then heart, drop your stone and walk away.
Mm-hmm.
So you had those 3 options. So you could be clever with your stone and just knock the next stone that he was going to throw at you. You can knock it out of his hand, or you can throw one back at him, or you could just walk away. And I just chose to walk away.
Interesting.
What would you do?
I don't know. I would probably
get a spear and just throw it at him.
No, I always do. I'm always nice in games and in real life.
No, absolutely. It's like Mass Effect. I've never been an idiot in Mass Effect. I've always been like super nice, and I think that's my character, my character in the real world, kind of portraying into my games.
Yeah, I always do that. I had this mate, and he's always just the worst in games like that. He loved it. He used to go, he'd go, "Yeah, I'm going to go Paragon all the way." No, Renegade, Renegade all the way. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? He says, yeah, I always pick the bad options, kill everyone, have affairs and everything. I was like, oh, mate, how'd you do it? He goes, it's funny. And I sort of vowed once, I was like, when I complete Mass Effect, I'll start again and I'll just be bad all the way because I can't do it the first time. I never did though, because at the end, that's the end. And it's like, oh, that's it. I don't want to change it. I'm really weird like that. So yeah, I'm always good. So I'll probably be brain or heart. I don't know what. It would depend on the context. Unless someone really annoys me. If they're because there's a bit in Mass Effect where you get hassled by a reporter quite a lot, and at first I was like, yeah, just ignore it, and in the end I was like, ish, and just hit him because I was like annoyed with it. But that we'd had fair warning and stuff. What was I going to ask you? So I think, unless I just missed it because I got excited, you said that you brought Nicola home and you showed it her. What did Nicola say?
Oh no, she thought it was absolutely stunning. Was
it that good that when you met Nicola at lunch, you just said, "Oh, Nicola, mate, it's amazing. I can't believe it. It's so good."
Well, I wanted to tell her about it, but she had a work issue that she wanted to tell me about and kind of get my thoughts on it. So we ended up just sitting in Starbucks talking about documents and document management systems instead. And I was like, well, my game's really good. I'm going to go back to it now.
You're getting a hernia from keeping it in, not doing the right thing and just holding that in. You just want to burst it all out.
So yeah, but though she thought it was absolutely, she was like, wow, that looks amazing, that looks incredible. So she was quite taken back by the, and like I said, she said that, it looks a bit complex because I was doing a few things to show her, like kind of stealthily hiding, taking someone out stealthily and all that. But I said, no, it does actually kind of like gets you there to where I am in the game. It kind of happily gets you to that point.
It teaches you each of these layers one at a time.
Indeed.
But does it feel... Because sometimes that can be quite boring, and you just like, just let me get on with the game, for goodness sake. Or does it do it in a way that feels quite natural and that's a joy to play? Or does it feel a bit like, I'm paying the price here, this is the price I've got to pay for the keys to the open world?
I've had 6 hours of fun and some of the best gaming I've had this year in the first 6 hours, so none of it felt like a chore whatsoever.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to play it.
So that is Horizon Zero Dawn. It'd be interesting to see what you think next week. Maybe if your things turned up in time.
If it hasn't turned up, I would have bought it. So I will have played it by next week. I'll have played it by tomorrow.
Right.
It's just annoying that I'm playing. But I will try not to natter on too much during the pod because I know you're keen to get back to play it. And after that description, I completely understand.
I do indeed. So let's start the news section. And in this week's news section, Xbox announces a Netflix for games, Nvidia reveal their GTX 1080 Ti, and a 2000 AD classic is coming to the consoles. But the first piece of news, Daz, is with you.
It is indeed, and it's that time again. Wow, these seem to come around pretty quick, don't they? It's PS Plus games. Hooray for March.
At least monthly.
At least once a month. It's weird because today I was thinking, crikey, it's funny because it's time for the PS Plus games tomorrow and I haven't heard what the games are yet. So I thought it was a bit of a late release maybe? Or did they come out?
They're normally the first Tuesday of the month, and the first Tuesday of the month is next week, so when they'll be coming out.
Oh, of course. There's me thinking it's Tuesday tomorrow. Duh. Anyway, so it's not that late at all. So what have we got for March from PS Plus? Well, we've got Disc Jam, which is a brand new game that we're getting. So it's not been out. No one really knows much about it. It's not out at the moment. I haven't seen any reviews for it or anything. So this, according to the blurb, is an insanely addicting cross between air hockey and tennis. I might like it because I'm into my Racket NX in VR at the moment. Players scramble to retrieve and throw a glowing disc while unleashing powerful abilities and defending their end zone. The game is just launching on PlayStation Store now, but all PlayStation Plus members can get it as part of the membership. So this, if it's good, has potential perhaps to be a success like Rocket League.
Yes.
This
kind of reminds me of like a futuristic 3D version of like Windjammers or something like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally Windjammers, yeah. Yeah, so this could be one to watch. This could be good. Then what else have we got? We've got Tearaway Unfolded, PS4.
Awesome. A must play for anyone with a PlayStation Plus title. This game is amazing. I finished it on the Vita. I've bought it on the PS4. It's absolutely incredible.
That's so good. I've never played it.
Oh, no, you have to play it. And the great thing is if you have a iPhone, iPad, or other smartphone devices are also applicable, you can draw on those devices. So there are parts of Unfolded.
So that makes up for the Vita bit, because you can only do that on the Vita touchscreen, but you can use an app to do that, can you?
Yeah, so it says, right, you need to draw an eye to stick on this scarecrow. You do that in the app. You do that in your PlayStation app. There is a tab for connectivity to your PlayStation 4. You do it in there, and then it's instantly in the game.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing.
Right, brilliant. So everybody's going to love Tearaway.
Yes.
Because it's awesome. Then we've also got Under Night, In Birth on PS3. This looks like a bit of a Guilty Gear X 2D manga-style beat-em-up.
Right.
Looks all right. Never heard of it. You know, this is quite a common theme for me in PS Plus games. I've mostly never heard of them. I've heard of Tearaway but never played it. Disc Jam's new, obviously. Under Night, must have missed that on PS3, but it looks pretty good. I've had a look at the some gameplay, and if you like Guilty Gear X, that type of thing, you know, it's a free 2D beat-em-up. Could be good. Not sure if it's got online. But it'd be weird if it didn't, wouldn't it? What else we've got? Earth Defense Force 2025 on PS3. I'm a great fan of Earth Defense Force. Love those games.
Those games are awesome. It's such a shame, isn't it, that we haven't got backwards compatibility on the PlayStation, because I'd love to play like a bit of Earth Defense Force 2025. Is that such a great game?
Yeah, we could hook up as well, fight some giant spiders together, and the harder the level, the better the guns you get. Oh, it's so good. Giant
it's
ants,
such a great game.
Brilliant. And then we've also got Lumo on the Vita, but that's cross-buy to PS4 as well. Lumo I hadn't heard of as well, and had a quick look at it. This is a isometric platform game. Sort of a remake of the type of isometric platform games from the days of yore that we may have enjoyed, like, say, Saberwolf or something like that, but redone with all beautiful colours.
You're absolutely spot on. There are parts that look like Attic Attack, isn't there? There really is. When they go into like a big room and there's a puzzle in that room, it just really kind of has that kind of Attic Attack feel. Yeah,
very much. Reminds me of a very old game called Wizardry on the Commodore 64, but Wizardry doesn't look like this, believe me. And Wizardry took about half an hour to load on the tape as well.
Oh my goodness.
Crikey, showing my age there. So that looks pretty good, that. A nice little isometric 3D adventure game. With some platforming. Then we've got Severed on the Vita as well.
Oh, wow. Okay, from the makers of Guacamelee.
Indeed. That's Drinkbox, isn't it?
Amazing game.
Never played this game, but heard a lot of good reports about it on the Vita. I'm presuming from the gameplay that I'm watching, the reason that I haven't played it on anything but the Vita is because it sort of requires touch control.
It does indeed.
Is it a bit of a fruit ninja type game, it looks like?
It's kind of a dungeon crawling swish 'em up. So it is. It's not. It is a bit like Fruit Ninja, where you get to the point where you'll have something in a doorway and you have to take it out and you have to defend and you have to do swishes to defend. And then what happens is the further down and further in the dungeons you get multiple enemies attacking you, so you have to keep switching around, and you can tell when they're about to kind of attack you because that side will glow, so you have to instantly switch around to there, do a bit of swishing. It's really good. It's very addictive and made me look very stupid on the train.
Like some sort of demented guy with a tick.
Yeah, just like but I think it's also out on iOS as well.
Yeah, it is, and it made me think of a game that I was just trying to place then. Infinity Blade. Your description sort of put me in mind of Infinity Blade on iOS, which I also quite enjoyed. So there you go, Disc Jam, Tearaway Unfolded, they're both on PS4. Under Night in Birth, that's the 2D beat 'em up on PS3. Earth Defense Force 2025 on PS3. I mean, that's a good game. Lumo, PS Vita and cross-buy. That's your isometric 3D platformer. And finally, Severed on Vita. So, not a bad haul, especially if you've got all three consoles.
Absolutely. That is a stellar PS Plus lineup, I think. A very kind of almost indie-centric kind of lineup, but it's absolutely just superb lineup, I think, this month. If you've got a Vita and a PS4, you've got some great games in there.
You're happy with that, are you?
I am indeed, and probably some games that you've missed as well.
Yeah. So do you think Sony's beat Xbox this month on the PS Plus thing, on the free games?
I do indeed. I think Sony's got the edge this month.
Just as I was saying that Sony had been rubbish for ages as well. You know, when the Xbox haul came out, and I was like, yeah, Sony have been a bit light on it for quite a few months, but that's a good selection. And
They heard you. That we've got to put it up, guys, because look, Daz is not happy. We need to put it up. So that's what they did. They
yeah. When they heard it, the red phone started glowing, and the big man answered it, Andrew House. Darren on the Sparks is not happy with the quality of the PS Plus games. Sort it out, and then here we go. So yeah, a good haul indeed. So talking about games old and new, what have you got to say about that on your next piece of news?
I do indeed, thank you very much. And this week, over in the Xbox land, Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, has announced via Major Nelson, the Xbox mouthpiece, announced that Xbox are starting this spring. They will be starting a brand new unlimited access Xbox Game Pass. So they're saying that they're continuing to commit to give people options to diversify and expand their gaming library. So what they've done is they've introduced the Xbox Game Pass. Now what this is as I said up at the top of the show, it's almost like a Netflix for Xbox. It's a gaming subscription service that is coming later in the spring. So I think we're getting ready for a big spring update, which I'm kind of in that kind of beta at the moment. So I'm seeing some of those new updates. But what this does is it's an Xbox Game Pass that gives you unlimited access to over 100 Xbox One and backward compatibility Xbox 3 titles. And it gives you all of this for $9.99, so $9.99, or I think the rough kind of equation at the moment is about £7, about £7.99 pounds, UK pounds, and probably about €7 as well. So it's got some great games that are coming from, and they're on the website, and I'll put a link to Major Nelson's announcement, but they have some publishers such as 2K, Bandai Namco, Capcom, Codemasters, Deep Silver, Sega, SNK, THQ Nordic, Warner Brothers, etc. So this is really kind of Netflix meets EA Access, where they will have a bunch of titles, and Halo 5 Guardians is going to be one of the big titles. And Daz, you put a list. I'll go through some of the games that are going to be available in the beta in a moment. But what they're going to do is they're going to basically monthly cycle games in and out. So they will have a whole load of games one month, and maybe like Netflix, they will then cycle that game out and then maybe replace it with something else. So I think this is really interesting. At the moment, like I say, I'm waiting for it to appear. It's going to start appearing to people that are in the preview program. So I'm waiting for it to appear. The first month, as it will be when it comes out in the spring, the first month is going to be free. And then you have the option via the membership section on your Xbox One Dash to opt in and keep paying $7.99. What do you think, Daz? What's your thoughts?
I think it's an interesting development. I think it's much. It sounds better to me by far than PlayStation Now. For starters,
absolutely.
I think they've obviously learned a few lessons from what Sony have done with that. They've made quite a big thing about mentioning the fact that you can download these. It's not a streaming service.
Yes, it was quite interesting actually, because on the day that the Horizon Zero Dawn reviews were coming in, and it was the day before it launched, they were saying, we are going to expand your horizons. There's the first kind of let's jump on Sony's search words as well at the same time. And then you're right. I think somewhere in the Phil Spencer announcement, they did say something about we won't constrict you to streaming. You'll be able to download the full game. It's yours to keep. There we go. So one of the best things about Xbox Game Pass is that you can discover and download full titles directly to your Xbox One. That means continuous full fidelity gameplay, dig at Sony, without having to worry about streaming, bandwidth or connectivity issue. Another dig at Sony. In addition, all Xbox One games in the catalogue and related add-ons will be available to purchase an exclusive discount for Xbox Game Members Pass.
Yeah, I think, maybe they've got the statistics of how well EA Access is doing, and that's really good value as well. And they just thought, yeah, we'll have a slice of this. They've got the back catalogue to do it, especially with the fact that they've got the backwards compatibility as well. Because they've sorted that out. It opens up a whole just sort of even more games, doesn't it, that they can cycle in and cycle out of this. So you've got their Xbox One games, but because they've opened up the Xbox 360 library, it just enhances it so much. I think this is fantastic for people that maybe, I don't want to speak for you here so much, but people like us that have sort of probably had all these games, and played them and completed them, or played them when they came out, it might not be so tempting for, unless we feel a bit nostalgic. But for people that maybe haven't gamed in previous generations and just getting an Xbox, this is just like instant game library. You just get this, and you've got the past and the present of gaming for $7.99 a month. I think they could tweak that price down a little bit, really, because it's just, when you think about what you get with your Xbox Live Gold and with your PSN subscription, it seems, because that's around £40 a year. Isn't it? Yeah, it's about that, isn't it? And this equates to being about £96 a year. So I don't know. But maybe if you haven't played all the games, then it's totally worth it. It's just that it's hard to distance myself from the fact, as I look down the list of the games that are available at the moment, that sort of played them all or don't want them, sort of thing. But for somebody that hasn't been a massive geek and played all the games that have come out for the last 20 years, then it is great, isn't it? And I presume you could just, I don't know this for sure, but I'm just presuming that you could just do 1 month for $7.99, enjoy it for a month and cancel.
Yeah, maybe.
But you just don't own the games anymore, do you? You keep the games while you're running it. And also, Aaron Greenberg confirmed that it's going to include the home sharing as well for all these games. So that's good. So if you're using that family sharing thing, 2 accounts can use all those games for the one price.
Absolutely, that would be absolutely fantastic, And I think if you kind of look at the first 31 games, that's only the games that they've launched for the beta that's happening right now. The preview members. But they do say that they're going to put kind of over 100 games in the spring update. So they, if you imagine you're paying $9.99 in spring, and you have 100 games that are going to be available to you. Now, some of the games, you put a list here down. Some of the games that are going to be available for those preview members there's some great games. There's Terraria is one of them. Mad Max, that's a game that I just never got round to playing. Halo 5, Sunset Overdrive, these are all kind of the big Defense Grid 2, Gears of War Ultimate Edition. These are all of the Xbox One titles. There's some big ones in there, really. It also has Banjo-Kazooie, it has Missplosion Man, it has Sam & Max beyond there. There was Saints Row 4, that was a Games with Gold. There's Lego Batman, the Tekken Tag Tournament 2, Payday 2, the awesome Viva Pinata.
Yeah, and all Rare Replay looks like it's in there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure why they haven't just put Rare Replay.
I know, because it looks better, doesn't it? Because
you've got Banjo-Kazooie, Jetpack Refueled, Cameo, Viva Pinata. There's no Viva Pinata TIP, Perfect Dark Zero. So it's just like, just stick Rare Replay in there.
Yeah, just do it. Fable 3 as well. That's a big old game. So yeah, it's a good thing, I think. This is just the start. There's going to be, like you say, 100 games. This is just the first 31. They're just putting out there for a sneak peek, for a preview to make sure that the service works.
Yes. So
I think I'll have my eye on it. And if for there's 100 games, I don't really care, because it's like the other day when last week I was talking about that bundle I got that had about 30 games.
Yes.
I felt completely overwhelmed and inundated in games. And actually, I just want 1 or 2. I want 1 or 2 at any one time. So it's a great soundbite to say 100 games, but it's about the quality. If they have sort of 2 or 3, or say 5 or 6 good games in there for people each, cycling out in any one period, that's better than 100 average, isn't it? Just get those good games. If they had got like 3 or 4 40, 50 hour plus games in there, then yeah, I think it's got legs. I think it's got legs. People have been crying out for sort of a bit of competition to PlayStation Now, and this seems to be a lot more like the Netflix model.
Yeah.
And I think they should be applauded for it. It's just that, as I say, at the moment with the games list, it's not something I jump on at the moment. But I love that it's there for other people.
Like I say, I think Mad Max. If you hadn't got around to it, Mad Max, Halo 5, and Gears of War Ultimate Assault are Ultimate Edition. They are kind of worth the price of admission for day one anyway. You know, just those three. I mean, I think I said last week on the pod I got given a EA Access membership for a year, but from a friend, and you know, and I'm absolutely loving that. At the weekend when I had that kind of tread water on the games, I downloaded Madden 17. You know, and I'm awful at those games, but I downloaded the full game. What else have I got? I could have easily have downloaded Star Wars. I've got Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare. I've got Mirror's Edge, the new Mirror's Edge, and I also even fired up Mass Effect 3 as well. And I just had all of those games, and that's kind of what I was kind of jumping around. And I was just like, it's really cool to go into the vault and go, oh, I never played that. Let me have a look. And I think, you know, for me, I would go, oh, I've never played Mad Max. I'll take some of that, you know, and it would be quite cool. So there's some good titles in there. I'd be interested to see what that 400 is. But you're right, you know, sometimes that could be overwhelming to people like us. Yeah. And I guess the instant question that I have is that obviously Halo 5 is probably the newest game in that list at the moment that we have, and I wonder how long it's going to take a brand new game to get into the Game Pass.
Well, yeah, it's great to have choice, and like what we think is good and bad, it may be different to what other people think. So, you know, having loads of games is great because we might say there's 5 classics in there. Somebody else might think our 5 are rubbish and they like another 5. But also I'd say it's a bit like with the free games that we get from Xbox, games with Gold and PS Plus. You know, that's like 8 games a month, thereabouts. And I find it difficult to work my way through them. Do you know what I mean? So if people... Maybe this would be an alternative to that if people maybe aren't subscribing to those services, because if you're already getting those 8 games a month, that's quite a lot. Or if you're on one system, if you're on the Xbox, you're getting, say, 4 games, aren't you? So you're already getting 4 games for free. So you've got them to work through. So a lot of people might be happy with that. So the Xbox might have shot themselves in the foot a little bit with those free games to entice people onto this. And the other thing I was going to say is EA Access is £20 a year. And this is £96 a year. So there's a big difference. There's a big deficit. EA Access to me seems complete quality. It's a bit like this for me, the games... There hasn't really been a game to make me jump, but I do think it's amazing value, EA Access. It sounds great. They do that early access things for some big releases and everything, don't they? Mm-hmm. I just think they've nailed it there, and I think the price... It's actually kind of rude that I'm not doing it because it's ridiculously cheap. It's $3.99 a month, isn't it, or £20 for a whole year?
Yes.
I hope I'm right there, because that's just, when I'm saying that sounds just such a bargain. But then you come into this and it's £96. So I think that their game showing, to justify the 96 a year, to justify the £8 a month, they're going to have to step up, probably, like you said, Halo 5 being the latest one. I know it's not all about the most recent game, it's about how good a game is, but the older a game is, the more likely it is that more people have played it and finished it and aren't interested in playing it again. So they need some stuff there to entice people. And that's it. That's what's going to justify that extra subscription. Because, you know, people could potentially have Netflix, SoundCloud, Xbox and Sony subscriptions, Netflix, I've already said that, Prime, and this is another one, isn't it? They might even be playing PlayStation Now. So this is another one vying for that space of monthly payments. So they've got to price it at the point where people are going to say, that's good value, it's worth it. Even though £8 is miles better than the £12.99 that Sony are charging, unless the games are going to be better than this list when they release the full thing, and obviously this is just a taster.
Yes.
I think they may struggle, unless there's a lot more people out there, which there really well could be, that are happy to pay a subscription just to have that buffer, if you like, to fall back on, of 100 games that they can just browse through. Mm-hmm. And like you say, when you're treading water on a game, you can just play that. But is £8 a month really worth it to do that? Because usually everybody... I can't say this for everybody, but I feel that there's the game you're playing and there's games there's games you're playing and there's games you're looking forward to. And to fit games in between them, because these would never be those. The games that you're going to get in this service are never going to be the games that you're playing at the moment, and they're never going to be the games you're looking forward to, because this is going to be older classics, isn't it? So it's finding the time, isn't it? It's finding the time between the games you're playing now and that window between finishing that game and the next game that's coming out.
Mm.
And is there going to be a game in that list that's worth the £8? So I said I wasn't going to go on. But there you go. I've finished about that.
No, absolutely. I mean, and you were spot on about EA Access. It's $3.99 per month, and a full year is $19.99. So you were spot on with that. But no, you're right. I mean, for me, like I say, the shining one, if I was to, I'm going to sign up when this becomes available, just because the first month is free. So I'm just going to have a look. And the first game that I would jump into. But then, saying that, you were spot on, because I don't have time to wade through these 100 classics, because I've got Horizon Zero Dawn, I've got Zelda, and then Mass Effect
Andromeda,
and Ghost Recon Wildlands. So I've got 4 games there that are just going to keep me. But I don't think this is for me. This is for someone who has an Xbox as its second console. Maybe they've had PlayStation 4. They were 360. They've now jumped to PlayStation 4. They're liking some of the stuff that's happening over on their old staple. So they're now going to jump back. They're going to buy an Xbox now. It's kind of going down in price. They buy an Xbox, and then suddenly, for a couple of cappuccinos in Tunbridge Wells, for a couple of cappuccinos a month, you've suddenly got this whole library, and you never need to buy a game, because you'll just wait for that first party title to hit this game library.
Yeah, and there's plenty of gamers as well that aren't. It's very hard to believe that there's gamers that don't buy all the games as soon as they come out, but there's plenty of gamers that they're just relaxed about it. They enjoy just playing the odd game here and there. Maybe it's a bit underutilised because they haven't got that many games. This is a great thing for them because they haven't played all these games, so they can just pay that a month and never buy another game again, and be happy that whenever they switch the old Xbox on, they've got a massive catalogue just to browse through.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, back to what we were talking about last week. The predicted sales of Horizon Zero Dawn is 8 to 9 million. There's 45 million PlayStation 4s out there. So they're all of the people that don't buy all of the games day one.
There's more people that aren't like us.
Yes.
Than there is like us. Yeah, and they're all the people. So you could have what was that leave? So you got 55 million Xboxes out there. Take away the 8 million, or say let's make it easier and say 10 million by Horizon Zero Dawn, which leaves 45 million people that are going to subscribe to this. It's like that, even though that's PlayStation, not Xbox.
Absolutely. I was going to say, if you've got 10 million guys who have just bought, you've got 10 million people who have just bought Horizon Zero Dawn, and they own an Xbox. They're stupid.
But let's take that as a percentage then. Say 1/5 of the sales of Xbox. Yeah. Would be more like us and, bang on all the new releases. And that leaves 4/5 left over, the kind of people that perhaps, potentially, that could be the market. And that outweighs us hardcore gamers, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Our echo chamber is, there's a brand new game, getting it day one. We live in that zeitgeist of kind of getting it day one. But a lot of people wait. A lot of kind of friends at work and stuff like that, they will buy kind of, one guy I know, he's still playing, Arkham Knight because he's loving it. And that's the game that he loves, and he doesn't get to play as much as we do because he has a very young family. So he's kind of loving that. And then we'll dip in every now and then to a PlayStation Plus game. I think at the moment he's playing, my mate Dean, he's playing Destiny. So, that's kind of where he's playing because a friend said, I'm going to play Destiny for the second time. So he's now playing Destiny on the PlayStation 4. So for him, it doesn't matter. He doesn't care about Horizon Zero Dawn. He's having a blast on that. So if suddenly, this whole wave of these games come in, there's something for him, there's something for his wife, there's something for his kids with Lego Batman. So something like that, outside of our echo chamber, outside of kind of all of the direct people that we kind of talk to and talk about games, there's a lot of people who just love this list of games. Gears of War Ultimate Edition, as I said, Halo 5 and Mad Max. There you go. That's you sorted for a couple of months.
Absolutely. And if you weren't constrained like us about the now and the next and the new shiny, they could just play Cameo or something and just be quite happy. It's a great, these games are great games. So you're quite right. This for the people that haven't got the time, and to get all faffed about with our echo chamber, as you say, then this is just, they can pay that money and just open up a celebration of gaming and just enjoy sort of, as I say, the past and the present. It's good.
Absolutely. You know, if you're going to play Viva Pinata, you're better off just buying Rare Replay, and you'll get all of that. You know, because in 2 months you've paid for yourself. You know, but Viva Pinata, if you haven't played Viva Pinata in that list, then oh boy, you should be playing that. I almost fired that up at the weekend when I had my lull. Like Trouble in Paradise, I've got 1 achievement and I haven't got. And I'm so tempted just to start playing that game again, but then I would just blow out the rest of the year, I think.
I fired up my Xbox the other day and I saw James was on Viva Pinata.
Yes.
So I didn't sort of ask him why or anything. Or I was just like, wow, he's still playing it. Excellent.
I think he was doing it for the the Game Jam thing that they were doing. Not the Game Jam, but the game streaming.
Oh, the Rare does co-op.
Yeah, the co-op for the charity that Rare was doing, which I was watching, and James did a astounding job. He did really well, so it was a good. It looked like a ton of fun, and there was lots of different people from Rare kind of jumping in, doing lots of different games. And I think as we switched over to our Forza night, I think he was somehow shoehorning Hitman in. We'll talk to him next week about how
we'll
he
find
got
out
Hitman into a co-op game. So the next piece of news, Daz, is with you.
Yeah, this one is a bit PC-centric, as NVIDIA have revealed their new graphics card. Wow, the GTX 1080 Ti. Wow, the Ti. I remember when the 1080 got released and we talked about it on the pod. Has it really been a year already? Was it a year ago? A year ago? I don't know. It can't have been a year ago. Anyway, never mind. It might have been, Wow.
How many people have you got in your head?
Just me, myself, and me, and I. So, yeah, they've revealed the GTX 1080 Ti. 1080 Ti. I'm going to get this right in a minute. The GTX 1080 Ti graphics card. This comes out next week. This card is the fastest card available. Surprisingly, this card beats the Titan X Pascal card, which is the card at the top of the food chain up until now. This is the card that you sort of had your 1050, 1060, 1070, the 1080, and the 1080 was around $699 dollars, or maybe about $599, and then you got the Pascal card, which came in at about $1,200. All of a sudden, this card, which is $699, is faster than the $1,200 Titan X Pascal card. That's amazing, isn't it? This card, apparently, obviously we haven't got. I don't think we've got the true benchmarks yet, but it's looking like this is the card that can give you a single card solution to 4K 60 frames per second gaming on PC.
What?
Yeah, that's what this card is, basically. Unless you want a SLI £2,000 graphics cards together, which, not many people want to do or can afford to do. This looks like, I say affordable in inverted commas. This is the most affordable way to do it, though, on PC. I remember because I got a GTX 980 Ti for my Vive, as you know. And I remember the 1080 came out a few months later, and I couldn't have waited because the Vive came out earlier. And I remember saying, well, I'm not going to get a 1080, I'll wait for the 1080 Ti. So this is kind of the graphics card I've been waiting for. But you know what? My 980 Ti is doing fine. So I won't be just upgrading for the sake of it. And also, this also makes me think about what was discussed about Scorpio, with the power and what the Pro can do. When we're getting to 4K gaming, I know they can't do the Pro can't do 60 frames per second 4K with something like Horizon Zero Dawn. It can do it with Resogun. So we can do it with some stuff, depending on how what's the word I'm looking for? How much power it requires, how sort of complex
how intensive the graphics are, I guess.
Yeah, how intensive the graphics are. And the Scorpio, well, we don't know now, but at first they were saying it would do. They said they targeted the Scorpio hardware at doing 60 frames per second 4K, and that's why I was thinking, wow, how can they do this? Because if you can get a whole console like the Scorpio, if they manage to achieve that for say £500, that's the price of a single component on PC. But that has not swayed NVIDIA to drop the price of this card. They're obviously not thinking, oh, well, the Scorpio is going to be the equivalent of this card or anything. But anyway, this is the fastest card you can get. GeForce GTX 1080 Ti coming next week. So just $1 short of $700. I'm not sure exactly what that converts into English pounds. And it's going to be faster than the $1,200 Pascal Titan X card. I wonder if they're going to bring out a Titan X Ti. I don't know if they'll do that. But if they do, then that would be the fastest card. But then that would retain its price. So you'd still be looking almost double, to get that. So if you sort of want the best rig, it sounds like a 1080 Ti is the way to go. It makes me think that when my graphics card starts to not perform, it's going to be expensive for me.
Yeah.
But it looks like a good card. There's some the websites out there have got some different specifications for it and stuff and comparisons against other graphics cards. But yeah, they're saying, I think Nvidia are saying that this is a 35% bump in power from the standard 1080. So they've unleashed a lot more power with this architecture, and it's the same pattern as they've done in previous generations with the Ti model. And that's why I said I'm not too gutted about the 1080. It'd be the 1080 Ti that I wait for. To be honest, I'm surprised it's come out so soon, because it doesn't seem like 5 minutes ago that I was saying that. So there you go. GTX 1080 Ti will be out next week. If people are looking for a new graphics card, it might be worth considering if you have the coin.
Absolutely. We'll stick a link to that page, because it does give, I think it's a Eurogamer page, isn't it? Because it gives like specs and stuff like that. But question for you is, where are you going to be playing Mass Effect Andromeda?
Probably PS4 Pro.
Oh, right. Okay, so you're going to do the PS4 Pro, and then you get the HDR bump there and nice shiny graphics.
Yeah, I never even considered PC. The thing with the PC is I'm always looking at it from the lounge to the VR room, and from the VR room to the lounge, and from the lounge to the VR room. And if the PS4 is always in the lounge, it's always there hooked up. It's not that much effort, but it's just sort of an extra factor of faff. So
yes,
I think Deus Ex taught me that lesson, really, because I was just kind of like one evening I just thought, you know what, it's all set up with the VR stuff, I can't be bothered, I'll just play something on a console. So unless either it's exclusive to PC, which would be rare for like a AAA thing, or it was best on PC, which also is rare, because you find that the games are more optimised for consoles anyway these days, don't you?
Right.
Yeah, I use my PC for mainly VR, and I end up playing stuff like Downwell on it, things like that, things that you could play on some 20-year-old laptop. So yeah, but it is nice, like with Subnautica, like with The Witness and things, and Deus Ex, to see that bump to 2K, or to see that 4K leap, and to play Rise in 4K was pretty awesome as well. So I do use it occasionally, but I'm not. To have it perfect, I'd want that PC permanently in the VR room, and I need another PC in the lounge.
Oh no. Well, I mean, that's exactly why I've always wanted a small form factor 4K capable PC that could just plug into my amp and plug into my TV in the movie room. That's for that, because then it would be a case of, what do I want to play this on without any of that lugging, with any of that. Because I've known exactly what you're saying. If you have to put that little bit extra effort into it, you're probably not going to bother, are you? Yeah,
I thought about getting a Steam Link, because that can sort of throw the experience over wirelessly from your PC to other rooms in the house. And I think there's other kind of competitors to that as well. But I haven't researched it. I don't know enough about the reliability of it, how it would work, to actually jump in. Because, say if I want to just do a bit of browsing or a bit of like low-key gaming on the PC, but in another room, and then I could leave it completely wired up. So there's options, but I'm not that lazy. I do shift it. I do a bit of shifting, but sometimes I just get Andromeda on PS4 and I know where I am.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I go one step further with digital, because like sometimes I've been known to be kind of very comfy on the couch and not even got up to get a physical disc, and I go, don't worry, I'll play something digital instead. Taking it kind of one step lazier. But I think the Steam Link works quite well. I remember I think Manny and friend of the show Manny and James were chatting about it kind of when we were gaming once, and I think I don't know if you can get 4K gaming, but have a chat with James when he's on the pod next week.
Yeah, I may do, actually. I wouldn't mind getting his views on that, because it's a good, it sounds like a really good alternative to buying a new PC or big long structured cabling solutions.
Indeed. All right, next piece of news is with me. Very quick one. It was quite interesting because over the weekend, Target in the US, Target leaked Middle-earth Shadow of War, the sequel to the Shadow of Mordor game that came out a couple of years ago. They leaked the box art on there. Someone pulled the trigger too early. Someone hit commit on that content page, and the box art and details of Shadow of War was released. Since then, obviously, they've got out in front of that. I don't know if they were planning to make that announcement so close or maybe they were waiting for E3, but they have now got out, and so Warner Brothers have now made the official announcement that Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor is coming to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Scorpio, coming 25th of August. Now, Aaron Greenberg and Major Nelson have got out in front of that, saying that the Scorpio version will be coming later. But if you remember from what we know so far for the Scorpio, that if you buy that Xbox One edition and stick it into your Scorpio, it should be upscaling and be forward and backwards compatible. So it would be that the first, in very big air quotes, the first Scorpio game is going to be UK on the 25th of August and 22nd of August in North America, and that's going to be Middle of Earth Shadow of Mordor.
Wow, it looks good as well. I've seen the trailer.
Yes.
Did you play the other one? Did you play
No.
Shadows of Mordor?
I mean, it's quite interesting. That trailer is fantastic, and I'll stick a link to the trailer in the show notes if anyone's interested. But there is a countdown at the moment on shadowofwar.com that's counting down to the 8th of March. So that's a good week away from where we are now. The 8th of March, they will be showing the very first gameplay of Middle-earth Shadow of War. Now, kind of back to the original, I wanted to ask you this, actually. Did you play the original?
Yeah, I played it, completed it, loved it.
Was it good?
Really good. Yeah, really good. Yeah, I'm a massive fan of all things Tolkien anyway. Since before the films, I just loved the books. I've been reading the books since I was small, starting with The Hobbit and then went on to Lord of the Rings. Even read the Silmarillion a few times. And yeah, I love it all. And it's a great game. Actually, the books really don't have anything much to do with it, but what a game. It's sort of, I remember when there was a bit of controversy about the original game because people were saying that they'd nicked all the assets out of Assassin's Creed 2, I think it was.
Yeah.
And you sort of watch YouTube videos that would show him walking along and then replace it with Ezio or whoever it was walking along, and it was sort of exactly the same. So it was kind of Assassin's Creed in Middle-earth. But there was something about it, because I remember saying to Claire, I was like, this is bizarre because it is so much like Assassin's Creed, which I'm sick of. But because it's in Middle-earth, the way this game is done, I absolutely love it. The combat was great. You would have to take out certain targets in the game, but there was just something about it that was great. And I think what it was probably the Nemesis system that they implemented in this game that had never been done before or since. Maybe they own the protection on that. The Nemesis system is amazing, where for a start you could possess orcs and people within the orc armies, and then as you knocked out other generals and stuff, the orc that's fighting for you, that's been possessed by you, would rise through the ranks, so you could get him to become like general and then sort of have sway on what they do. And also they had a great mechanic in the game where if someone killed you, you'd respawn. So whenever you died, you respawned it, but it was part of the gaming mechanics. So it wasn't just that in a game, you reappear, but there's no explanation. It was all to do with being the ether or the elves or something. I can't quite remember because it's been a few years. But the way that you came back was actually part of the story, which is quite good. And then because you were sort of called the ghost of something or other, I seem to remember. Anyway, you got a bit of a reputation as this ghost guy, and you'd come back anyway. And if there was an orc that killed you in a previous battle, I mean, he might be in a different army now. He might be promoted to general, so he'd have leveled up himself. The enemies, the NPCs, would level up in this game, and he'd see you. It's in the middle of the fight. You're battling with all these people, and all of a sudden it'd sort of zoom in on him, in a really cinematic way, and he'd go, "Oi, didn't have enough of me in the last battle, did you not?" And he'd name the battle, whatever it is. He goes, "Right, let's finish it now." And then he'd come up to you, and then it'd sort of be a face-off between you and him. Oh, man. Awesome game. Really fantastic. Yeah. It's I was going to say well worth a look, but as if you're going to have time. But
well, I was interested over Christmas, because over Christmas they had it in the PlayStation sale for quite cheap, and it's been kind of, it was one of the titles for PlayStation 4 Pro, because it's had quite a big overhaul, and it's supposed to be kind of better with PlayStation Pro, and then and I sat on it and I kept thinking, I should get it, because I've always intrigued me, because I've heard that it was kind of a cross between kind of Batman, the Arkham games, and Assassin's Creed, and I was like, I quite like the idea of this, and then I was kind of, I think I missed the sale and then went back in, and it's gone back up to full price at the moment. So
I showed a few people it, and it was. They bought PS4s because of it.
Wow.
They were like that amazed with it. The skill tree is amazing. The combat is a delight. The sword play, and you get all these special powers that are easy to execute, but it still requires skill. And there's a good mechanic where, as long as you don't get hit, so you sort of build up power all the time, and then you can unleash like a really good combo. And the camera is really good when you sort of take down an orc with this sort of boost power. And I seem to remember that you can freeze the camera and sort of look all around it. And at the time, it was phenomenal. I mean, I don't know how it'll look now. I don't know whether it'd look dated, but at the time, I mean, it's only a year or so ago, it looked amazing. And it just freeze the action. I remember because I got it, I think, not long after I first got my PlayStation, and I was tinkering around, that with that not the playroom, that thing where you can create videos of your own gameplay. And I recorded myself playing Shadow of Mordor, loaded it into that, and then did a bit of a commentary and did transitions between it and stuff, and I was like, oh wow, that's really good, but I deleted it. But I was sort of, that's it, I was doing an impression of Dominic Diamond for the commentary. I was like, oh, welcome to Games Master. That was terrible. But I was doing my Dominic Diamond Games Master thing. Here we are on Shadows of Mordor, and we're watching Darren Whittam here going for it. And sort of did this commentary thing, and I was really proud of it. And then I sort of showed Claire, and she was like, yeah, or whatever, and I deleted it. But it's going back to your question, yes, it's a good game.
Oh, right, superb. So, Shadow of War is coming August, and it's coming on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Scorpio. Right, the last piece of news, which I just kind of snuck in there, I found this out yesterday. Nintendo had a bit of a direct yesterday for their Nindies, for their indie titles, and when they showed the final screen, which was peppered with all these great games that are going to be coming out on the Switch, I saw, up in the top left-hand corner, I saw Rogue Trooper Redux, and obviously Rogue Trooper just kind of instantly, in a Ratatouille style, dragged me back to my childhood, because Rogue Trooper was one of my favourite characters in 2000 AD. So back in 1981, yes, I'm that old, back in 1981, written, or actually drawn by Dave Gibbons for 2000 AD, Rogue Trooper kind of hit the pages of 2000 AD, and he was bred for war. He was a blue-skinned hero for the Southerners, who were kind of attacking the Naught regime. So there was the Southerners and the Naughts were battling out, and Rogue Trooper, along with his three comrades, who were later kind of wiped out during this big battle, and then became their AI, their soul, their spirit, were then placed into chips. And he then had Bagman, which was his backpack, he had Helm, which was his helmet, and he had Gunner, which was in his gun. So you have this blue guy who has his old mates in his hat, his back, and his gun, and they were constantly just kind of talking and constantly jibing him, and it was just, I loved it. It was always a good day, a good Saturday, when kind of young Anthony went down to the shops, got his 2000 AD, and there was a Rogue Trooper story, or a Rogue Trooper cover on 2000 AD. Now, this came out, I totally missed this game. I absolutely missed this game. This came out on PlayStation 2 in 2006.
Wow.
I was obviously maybe just kind of over on Xbox. I don't know what I was doing.
Was it good? Maybe it was no good, so you sort of passed it by.
Maybe it was terrible, but Rebellion and TikTok Games have announced yesterday that they're bringing Rogue Trooper Redux is coming to Xbox One, PS4 and Switch, and it will be coming soon. That's all we've got so far. And it's kind of coming out because 2000 AD this year is 40. So it's a big year for 2000 AD. It's its 40th anniversary. And obviously Rebellion, who are a game studio, they bought 2000 AD outright. So why are we not seeing a Judge Dredd game and a Zenith game and a Strontium Dog game? I do not know. But, I'll take Rogue Trooper Redux, yes please. So I'm very excited about this game. I just there's no gameplay. I'll probably see the gameplay and I'll be like, oh, but I've got a good feeling about this. This looks good. I'm going to play it anyway. But it looks like it could be a ton of fun. It's a third person game. And if it's just half as good, I'm going to see if I can try and find old Rogue Trooper gameplay on YouTube or something like that, and just try and find it. But there's a teaser which basically just talks about the old Rogue Trooper and talks about Rogue Trooper in 2000 AD, and I'll stick a link to there. I'll also stick a link to a Rogue Trooper wiki, just so everyone's familiar with this awesome hero.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind catching up on him. I remember seeing him around on comics and stuff, but I never read a story. But it'd be great if you see this YouTube video of the PS2 game and it's some sleeper hit that you missed. You'd be like, wow.
Absolutely, and then the hype would just be, like I say, it's coming to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch. So it's just it could be anything. But one of my favorite Rogue Trooper kind of arcs was when it was drawn by Steve Dillon, the great late, unfortunately, Steve Dillon now, and the way that he just drew it was just absolutely amazing. I'll see if I can sneak maybe some Steve Dillon artwork into the show notes.
Why not?
But it's absolutely superb. So Rogue Trooper, very excited about that. Rogue Trooper is coming soon, and I'll have more information when we get it.
Cool.
So that's it for our normal news, and of course, it's now time to head over to the VR news desk for all the latest in VR.
VR desk.
Welcome to the VR desk. Here we are. Hi, Anthony. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm still hyped from Rogue Trooper. Is there a Rogue Trooper VR game?
It was such a big transition, such a big break. I'd always have to greet you again. Now you've calmed down. You've had time to relax. I was going to say, you're going to burst with all these good things coming out. You're going to literally burst.
That's what I mean. It's so good. There's so much stuff coming out. It's really interesting that we're only in March and we've got all of these great games kind of flying at us. It's almost like that November. It's just that November buzz that we get just lasts all year round now.
Yeah, well, as long as we don't get to June and we're like, there's not been any games for 2 months. I wish they'd spread them out a bit.
Well, it's okay because we've got a ginormous back catalogue that we can play with.
Yeah. It's like, well, I haven't started Mass Effect Andromeda yet. Never mind Persona 5, which I'm hoping that's going to scratch an itch. Anyway, back to VR.
Yes, VR.
So, I've got a few things today to tell you about. First of all, nearly 1 million PSVRs have been sold as Sony confirms the figure.
Woohoo!
I don't think any other VR manufacturers actually come out and sort of said, yes, this is how many we've sold. I don't think. So it shows how confident Sony are that they've announced this in a press release. PSVR selling 915,000 units worldwide, which is fantastic. In around 4 months, they've done this.
And now, they did say, didn't they, 1 million in 6. They said they'll sell 1 million in 6 months.
Yeah. So to put this into context, the original iPhone sold around 1 million in 3 months.
Wow.
So it's kind of around that level, so it's very good. They may have sold more if they'd made more.
Yes. Exactly. I think their distribution has kind of kept this down. I did hear a podcast I was listening to. They did say that HTC Vive was around the 500,000 mark, and Oculus was 400,000. So, the PSVR has already sold more than both of those combined.
Yeah, and not surprised. Again, you've got that install base, haven't you? You've got those people ready and waiting. It's all the people that didn't buy Horizon Zero Dawn bought a PSVR. But yeah, that's really great news. They've also mentioned on the same press release that by the end of 2017, they're promising over 100 new software titles and experiences are expected to be released. So that's pretty good, Over 100 new software titles, and that was dated the 27th of February. That that little press release. So I'm presuming they're saying from now till then.
Yeah. That's ginormous. That's huge.
Plenty of stuff to look forward to on there. So that's really good news. I like it because it's just good for VR. I don't really care who. I want everyone to win because it's good for everybody. I just don't want anyone to lose particularly. So that's really good news. Also, while we're on the subject of PSVR, the VR covers company that makes I know them because they've been selling like Vive covers for ages, to basically mitigate the sweat problem, because the Vive has got this foamy sort of comfort pad around your head, and that can absorb moisture, which isn't pleasant. And so VR Cover are a company that said, hey, how about this one? And it's sort of like a leathery one, like a leather cover that you can just peel off the Velcro of the one on the Vive and you put a new one there, and it's more of a leather thing, a bit more, I think, akin to what you've got on the PSVR. But they've announced now that they're doing a cover for the PSVR. So their mission, actually, the VR Cover's mission, is to improve the VR experience by offering hardware solutions specifically targeted to the hygiene and comfort issues that plague virtual reality headsets. I'm sure yours is clean because you've got your alcoholic wipes, haven't you, and stuff?
Absolutely, they get wiped every day, every time I use it.
Yeah, well, you see, treat it like a piece of gym equipment. It's like if you sweated all over the bench, give it a wipe.
Yes.
That's what I say. So anyway, they've brought out one for the PSVR. Now, I wasn't really sure. Is there any place, in your opinion, is there a place where sweat or whatever gathers on that headset?
Well, there is a place in it that kind of rests against your forehead. So that's kind of, I guess, that's the area that I wipe when it goes from player to player. That's the area that, and also give it, you could have sweaty eyes as well. So it's kind of really under the eyes and on the forehead, really. Your T-zone if you're kind of putting a face mask on.
Brilliant. The only reason I know the T-zone is from Friends.
Oh, right.
Ross Geller says he's got an oily T-zone. But yeah, the one where they've gone for, it goes over now you'll know this better than me because I don't know the headset. The rubberized forehead section.
Right.
So that's the bit that just lowers over your forehead.
Yes, yeah. I like to say that's the one that gets a good rub down.
Oh, right, okay. Well, if you want to extra protect that, they've made a machine washable hygienic pad that goes over the rubberized forehead section.
Right.
So it'll hopefully mitigate all that nasty stuff sort of ravaging your hardware. So that's from VR Cover. And I'll try and find a link to the VR Cover itself, and people that are interested can have a look, because they do that one, but they also do a variety of other ones for other headsets. And if you've got an HMD, it might be worth having a look. My preferred option, as you know, Anthony, is to wear a 70s headband.
Yes.
I think it's awesome. And I was reading the other day, because I've never read other people using the headband method, which I think works a treat. Someone starts sweating up, it's like, just wear a headband, mate. And it's sorted. Somebody also said that a balaclava was good. And they said the balaclava, actually, because that gave a little bit of extra, I don't know, sort of width or whatever to your face, a bit of girth around your face, it actually made the whole headset more comfy as well.
Right.
But I imagine you get pretty hot in a balaclava, though.
Absolutely. You'd be washing those balaclavas out left, right, and centre.
Yeah, every day you've got like 20 on the line outside drying. So that's a new VR cover for PSVR. You know your VR something when it's getting a VR cover. What else have we got? VR's getting a new contender, which is interesting. So it's GDC's been going on the last few days. And LG have announced that they're going to bring out an HMD in partnership with Valve.
Oh.
Yeah, a new one. We don't know much else apart from that at the moment, but there's been a couple of press releases. LG Electronics will unveil its first VR HMD prototype at this year's GDC in San Francisco, being shown in Valve's GDC booth. The LG HMD prototype is designed to deliver a high-fidelity, next-generation VR experience. So that's ongoing, I think. So hopefully we'll hear some more when people have tested it. But The words high fidelity next generation VR experience were interesting. The fact that it's a partnership with Valve is interesting. Maybe they had a limited time that they were partnered with HTC exclusively, if they even were exclusive to HTC. I really don't know. But I read somewhere that this will use Steam VR the same as the Vive does, and it'll use the tracking system the same as the Vive does. So this could be very interesting to see what LG come out with. So yeah,
have Steam fallen out with HTC Vive maybe, and that's why they're looking at another partner?
Not that I'm aware of. I think they're just as tight as ever. But I think that they're free to lease their technology to whomever they like. I think maybe there was a period where they couldn't. But now, what is it? It's probably about about 9 months since release of the product. But so maybe they're free of that. Maybe they could have done that at any time, but they just weren't approached with the right pitch from anybody. But LG, I don't know, somehow snagged them. I really don't know. But we'll find out, I suppose. We'll find out in time. So I would like this to be great, and I hope it is. And I look forward to seeing what LG's HMD is like. I kind of hope a little bit it isn't better than Vive. But if it is, so be it. That'll be great, because it's a bit like what I omitted to say earlier with the graphics cards. It's kind of like, the 1080 Ti comes out and it's like loads of money and stuff, but there's more technology in it, and the more technology in it that's been, with the money thrown at it in the top end and the R&D, it all filters down into the consoles and into the PCs, into the VR, doesn't it? So we all win eventually through that. It cheapens the other stuff as well. It makes it cascades down with the price. So the tech cascades up, the prices come down. Everyone's a winner, really. So I thought that was really interesting, and we'll see what happens with it. But that's all the information that I've got at the moment. It's just that LG coupling up with Valve, showing a prototype at GDC, which is ongoing at the moment. I look forward to seeing what's going on there. What else have we got? The TP Cast that I've mentioned a few times, that's the wireless HTC Vive solution. So I've mentioned a few times today with my Vive games, they're getting increasingly where I'm getting tangled up in the wires, and it's sort of, you can mitigate it. You can kick it out of the way, you can step over it, you can grab it with your hand, move it out of the way, but sometimes it just gets knotted up, and it does take you out of the immersion. And this TP Cast is going to replace the wire. You unplug the wires out of the headset, and you plug this in, and you keep a battery in your pocket, and you're wire free with no lag. So the reports go. This is an awesome piece of kit. Basically, we've got a shipping confirmation, or a release confirmation for Europe, Q2 2017. It's going to come out. So this is the thing with my expensive year. I'd really like this. I'd really like this. Because I think one of the main hurdles with VR is, or with the Vive anyways, room scale and a wire all over the floor. As I say, you can put up with it, but it'd be infinitely better without it. So I'm looking forward to this. This may be a thing that I might have to get.
So would you get? Do they have a price yet for this? Do we know how much this is going to cost?
Yeah, we've had the price before, and I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't cheap. Let me see if I can find a quick price.
Right. Is this something that you would get maybe over the Scorpio?
No.
Right. So if you had to choose between a TP Cast and the Scorpio, then maybe Scorpio would win.
Yeah, because TP Cast is good, but it's kind of, without it, I've still got the Vive experience.
Yes.
So it's kind of, as much as I say I would like it and I really want it, it's a luxury. It's a nice to have. It's not a new console. It's not a new Vive. It's just basically an iterative upgrade, isn't it? It's like taking the wire out of a situation. It's $250.
Right. Oh, it's not too bad then.
It's not too bad.
And then, side note from that question, are you going to keep the Scorpio for your Christmas console?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Why are you laughing at that?
No, I'm not. I remember how much you love your console Christmas, and it just
console Christmas is the best Christmas.
Exactly. That question just kind of jumped into my head.
Oh yeah, definitely. But the thing is, there's so many things this year. I mean, 1080 Ti for Christmas.
Yeah.
No, it's not as good. It's not as good. Console Christmas is the best Christmas.
Awesome.
Are you going to? Oh, would you do the same?
No.
You wouldn't do it, would you?
No.
Don't be stupid. Why not? It's so much fun.
Because I buy those for me. Nicola doesn't buy those. I buy them for Nicola.
Well, I sort of do as well, but I just put it away till Christmas morning and pretend.
I'm not going to buy myself something and then wrap it and then stick it
Why?
under the
Well, give
tree.
it. You buy it. You give it to Nicola. Let her wrap it up, and then just. It's so exciting on Christmas Eve and Christmas morning, man. It's dead good. Oh, I love it. I can't help it. Even though it's painful because you'll be telling me about how good the Scorpio is.
But if you think about it, if I'd have waited for my PlayStation Pro this Christmas, I actually wouldn't have sat down with it until 4 days after Christmas.
Well, in that case, it's nonsense. You see, if that was the case for me, I wouldn't be waiting. I would need it on Christmas morning. 5 a.m. when I get up, all excited and stuff.
Next up on the VR news desk.
Thank you for ushering me on. I've lost my place. Oh yeah, that was TP Cast. How much did I say it was? $249.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, it's expensive, isn't it? TP Cast, blooming 1080 Ti, flipping out. What else have we mentioned in this show that I want to buy?
iPhone 8.
iPhone 8. There's more things coming up on here as well. So, also HTC announced couple of accessories that we talked about. There's the tracker, which allows you to bring real-world objects into the VR space by adding a little tracker onto them. And there's also the deluxe audio strap, which is a more robust helmet attachment or head attachment that you click the HMD onto. A lot more comfy. It's better. It's easier and better for adding earphones to, and it's just a better solution for wearing it on your head. It's got better balance. Whole thing looks really good. These have been priced now. Each of those different accessories will be $99 when they come out.
Right.
So there's some more money to spend. This Vive just goes on and on. I wouldn't mind the headset because it's better than the Velcro straps. It looks like they've had a bit of inspiration from the PSVR here. Right. It looks like it'd sit on your head a lot nicer, a lot more. With a lot more even weight distribution. That's the thing, because it's kind of front heavy. And then the Vive tracker thing, as soon as a game comes out that needs a Vive tracker on it, if it's good, everyone that's got a Vive's going to want one. So that's another $200 plus the TP Cast at $250. Claire, I hope you're listening to this. I hope you're not listening to this. Plus the 1080 Ti. So I don't know. I think I'm up to about $1,000 so far. So those are going to be $99 each, and they're going to be very interesting. The tracker's probably the more interesting. One's for comfort. The tracker really is going to hopefully unleash even more imagination in the devs out there, and we're going to see some exciting stuff. Nothing's been seen yet, or I haven't seen anything, but I'm very, very excited about what we're going to see using that tracker and the peripherals that are going to get brought into VR, which could be anything. It's going to be amazing. I hope. I hope, he says at the end. And finally, do you remember a few weeks ago now we talked about the VR hard light suit?
Oh, yes, yes.
And you said that I don't know if you can see the picture of it, but you said you'd stick your little Batman sticker on the front of it.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, it really does look like kind of like New Age Batsuit.
Yeah, and I think I visualised you sort of stood in that playing Batman VR, and you'd be sort of like, yay, I am here. Because the advantage of this suit is, regardless of the actual functionality of it, is it looks a little bit like a Batsuit, and it makes you look like you've got a six-pack, doesn't it? Because it's got sort of armour on it. But anyway,
badass.
It's really
this
cool.
is awesome.
It is cool. I mean, it's actually something that I don't think looks too bad. But what it is, for people that didn't listen to us talking about it last time, the hard light VR suit is like a jacket that you wear that's got pads all over it. 16 unique haptic feedback zones which target every muscle group, and each one of those gives you force feedback for, according to the blurb, real gut-wrenching reaction. And this went up on Kickstarter, and it's past it now.
Wow.
It's past it. So they wanted $80,000. And I'm looking at the site live. Let me just refresh the site, see if it's changed. 110,000 they're on now. So they've flown past their 80,000. They've got 22 days to go on it as well. So there's obviously some demand for this. I tell you, and the reason that this sort of came to light was when I was playing Thriller the Fight, I noticed that it's going to support the hard light suit.
Right.
So you can play in the boxing game in the hard light suit, feeling every punch. I think it would be pretty amazing. It doesn't come with a helmet, does it? No, they don't give you force feedback on your face. Probably wouldn't do the HMD, wouldn't that much good. But at the moment, they've got 15 games that are going to support this already. They've got Red Out, so I don't know what that does. Maybe it shakes for the G's as you race around the track. Red Out's like a Wipeout type of game. Thriller the Fight, the boxing game. They've got Hollow Point, which is a bow and arrow game. That'd be quite fun. You know, you feel yourself as the arrow goes in your back or your front, stuff like that. I say that's fun. It should be fun. So they've got 15 games lined up for it, and I just think this looks amazing. So I've been playing Thriller the Fight, and I saw this, had a look at the Kickstarter, and I saw it had passed, and I was like, oh man, I want one of these. This would be awesome. It'd go really well with the tracker and the TP cast and the headset and all the rest of it. Oh, and I need a new graphics card to run it, of course. So I thought I'd have a look how much it was. It should be $650 for this suit. But if you get in early, you can get it for $499.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's $499. It's estimated to be coming out at September 2017. It's got adjustable straps and stuff, so it can fit anybody. It's a shame because when I reported on it last time, I could have got an early bird deal and probably got it for about $350. I think the really early people to sort of get in on the act were.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a bit sad about that. But yeah, full hard light suit. Actually, they're saying full coverage, but it's just your torso. But I'm reading more and more about haptic suits, and this is the first one that I'm aware that's going to actually, be a consumer release. So
yeah.
I hope it succeeds. I really don't know if it will because it's loads of money on top of loads of money. Maybe they just figure that, like, not me, but people that get Vives have just got enough money to buy any old thing that they bring out, and they'll just spend it. But it should be interesting. If I manage to get one, believe me, I'll be telling you what it's like. But it's something that I'd need to know. I'd need to read many reviews on it first.
Yeah, I mean, that coupled with TP casts is a really good. That's a really good VR setup, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking like this. That's like the equivalent of these professional places, isn't it? Really, having that with no wires. I think the only thing you get to next is having the tracking fitted on your headset. That inside out tracking. So where your headset tracks, you don't need the sensors, and a laptop running it in your backpack on your back, and then you're just free, aren't you, to get one over?
see, that's it. If you kind of had one of those hard light suits and you played Thriller the Fight, you could just get someone to just continually punch you in the stomach, and that's an easy way to a six pack. It's like those machines you get that give you that electric shock. This will be rumbling your fat fit. This will.
You're volunteering for it. Anthony's like, don't worry, mate. Give me $400 and I'll come around and whack you in the stomach for a while.
I just come punch you whenever you're playing VR. I'm happy.
And I'm saying thank you. That's the great force feedback.
Yeah, it's like punch me in the chest. No, that's just really cool. I think that's awesome. That is your kind of advanced fanboy kind of, I want the full kit and caboodle thing, and that would just be, if you imagine just like for the very first time, someone in VR, you say, right, just put this headset on, just put this jacket on, because it just looks like a bomb, like a gilet, it just looks like just slip this on, and then you suddenly feel that in your body, and you're transported. That's the ultimate VR experience, isn't it?
I think it is. I mean, it's a bit weird for me because it's kind of like I kind of would like to get it all, but I get the feeling that when's the next Vive or when's the next VR technology going to come out? I don't want to spend all my money on a load of accessories for something that then becomes outdated, if you know what I mean. Or will the accessories work on the next thing? I suppose they would. So, yeah, it's a bit strange.
Absolutely superb. Excellent stuff. Well, I mean, and on that haptic note, that's about it for this episode. Big thank you again for listening. Don't forget, you can keep up with us at gamerslostspark.com. You can also find us on Facebook, on Twitter, we're at Lost Spark Pod. You can also find us on YouTube and the Gamers of Lost Spark PS4 community and Xbox One Club. Darren, where can people find you online?
You can find me as Wythamator on PS4, Xbox One and Twitch, Dazagamer on YouTube, and at Daz Whittam on Twitter.
Excellent stuff. For me, I am Chessman on Xbox Live, and from Friday, I'll be Chessman on Nintendo too. I'm PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network and Chessman UK on Twitter. Don't forget, if you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That's feedback@gamersoflostpark.com. Also, if you're feeling generous, please leave us a review on iTunes. That's about it. I'm going to play some more Horizon. So we'll catch you next week. Bye!
Yeah. See ya. You've paid your dues, Anthony. Off you go.